second to get set up. I mean, we only got one video today, really. We know this. My God. Well, 1 1/3, 1 1/16. With some emotes. All right, we're getting close. Welcome to the show. You know, here I am, and I'm a little bit late today. I had a little bit of a live video coming over, but I was at CES today, the Consumer Electronics Show. Big convention thing here in Las Vegas. Lots of stuff. Too much to talk about. If this gives you any indication, by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, and I am your host, Hal Sparks, and I will be Hal Sparksing the rest of the Hal Sparkson evening. But there's so much stuff there. I literally killed the batteries on my Meta glasses. I literally filmed so much stuff, and I was being judicious with it. I was being conservative as hell with my battery life. I was grabbing little clips. I just wasn't like walking around live streaming, seeing whatever. I was catching little pieces here and there, and still, was I on the main floor? Yes, of all 3 buildings. For a short period of time. It was a lot. Yeah, it was hi. First of all, hi chat room. Hello. Geek. No, I would say it's not quite geek heaven. It's almost like nerd hell, because you're seeing stuff that isn't necessarily available right now. It's like just out of reach. Like most of the stuff there is either coming out in a few months or later this year, and it's sort of gearing up so that if stores and stuff want to, vendors want to see this stuff and decide whether or not they're going to buy a bunch of them and put them on their shelves, they'll come check them out and go, okay, yeah, this is the stuff. This stuff's a keeper. It's got legs, all that stuff. What are Meta glasses? They're they're sunglasses or the Nerd Halen glasses that I wear, but they are Meta AI enabled Facebook glasses, basically, and they have a camera in them, and they have the Meta AI you can talk to, which is hilarious. Yeah, they're the Ray-Ban ones. I wear them on stage with Nerd Halen. I just brought them with me for this one because I could film. Yeah. Yeah. So that said, a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of, and I, at one point, I knew I was going to be late today. I knew I was going to be late. Not just because of all the stuff that was there, but ladies and gentlemen, I found the like edge computing heaven, which is this little area where all these like small computers, Raspberry Pi like computers and components you could buy, like these vendors that sell you like AI cameras, just a camera that's this big, and it's got a little ribbon attached to it. You plug it into whatever your device is, and now it adds that functionality to it, and it's like this big, and it's got no frame on it or anything. You just put it in your device. You print a box or whatever the hell. Anyways, it was cool. I was like, I could so do a smash and grab right here and build a robot to equal anything in that place, because they literally had robot like hats, which are these attachments that go onto the mini computers, right? I just saw some mini computers that I could use to lock down your local LAN network. Kick 808, I'm telling you, it's just getting started. So, okay, can I nerd out one thing before we get into Trump's stupid speech where he just is absolutely losing his mind? And also a question of, Tim Pool, whose side are you on anyways? What the hell? You'll get to that in a second. Nvidia announced this yesterday. Let's see, and I guess it's desktop computer. They announced a new computer called Digits, and this is, hold on, let's see if I can blow it up a little bit so I can show you. It's so funny because they made it gold, but this is it. This thing that's it right there. That's the whole computer. It's like I don't know. It looks like a gold brick. It's hilarious, but it's got their Blackwell chip in it, which is their second highest level chip. I think is really what it is. Like I think the highest level chips just go straight to the Pentagon, right? But everybody, whatever's under that, and it does 200 billion parameters of calculation locally, which means you could take, if you put two of these together, you could take the biggest working large language model like ChatGPT or something and run it locally with two of these just working in tandem. I want you to wrap your head around that. Two of these little things, and they're going to cost about I want to say $2,000, like $1,900 for this thing, and like two of them will, you can run, I guess you could run a chain of these friggin' things. With 6 of them, I guess no crypto is safe. But they're pretty astounding. It's meant to be a development computer for people to do like robot training environments virtually and all kinds of shit like that. And you could, like what you could do with it is just lunacy. But I'll get in that. I'm not that outgoing for that much LLM local. Yeah, no kidding. But what I'm saying is with this is like the top end. This would be if a large corporation wanted to run their own large language model, their own AI locally, they could do it off of one of these or maybe 2 max and run their entire company. It'd be insane and proprietary. Running it locally means it doesn't go to the cloud or another computer or an array of computers someplace else and do its calculation, and therefore take your local data, your data, your personal stuff, send it to someplace else, and then back again. Right? Yeah, the Mac M4, you could do that for most people. You could run your house off one of those things easy. But so, okay, can I show you what the funny part to me is? Should I invest in Nvidia? Yeah, you should have a while back. Yeah, they're like going to be a $3 trillion company. It's stupid. I don't give advice, but that's what I did when it was $28 a share. Anyways, so and everybody thought I was being stupid. So this is, I wish I'd bought more. But anyways, so this little guy right here. So 2 of these could run effectively Meta, the AI that Facebook uses. Facebook's entire AI could be run on 2 of these. Its processing power. It could be equaled by these because it's 408 billion parameters, and these can run 200. So you do 2 of those in parallel, and off you go. Right? Okay. If you had 3 of them, you nail them. You know why this is funny to me, chat room? You know why this is funny to me? Remember that stuff we were telling you about Elon Musk's XAI facility? Remember that? The world's largest supercomputer, in Memphis, the thing they were building, and because they needed to use like river water next to it. I want to find that. Where's the fucking video on it? So, because we played this once before. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if this will show it, but yeah. So this is he created this. They bought a piece of land in Memphis and built this like this is going to be the biggest AI in the world. It's going to be so big and it's the biggest ever. No, thank you. I got news for you. This is already old news. This is already it's on the road to being obsolete. And this thing is full of Nvidia chips. But at a certain point, once the AI is trained on the data, it doesn't it's not very big. It doesn't take a lot of energy. It's not a huge thing. You know, basically, if you want to be the facility where people train their AI, I guess, cool. But who gives a shit? Wednesday AI, I know, Cosmic Crows, simmer down. So, but anyways, they built this giant facility, and basically you can do it, everything it's doing, you could, in 2 of these. Essentially, you know, I mean, I don't know what else you're gonna fucking do. Just like track asteroids for NASA. Dudes always need a bigger building. Yes, I do. So will they mine Bitcoin now? No, but they can crack people's Bitcoin wallets. That's the next part of it. There he is. So that said. Okay, before we jump into Trump's speech, which I am certain is loaded with good times, I gotta say, since being fired by the Russians, Tim Pool has been scrounging for content, I guess, and this is the best he could come up with. Teen's breast grew triple G-cup size following COVID vaccination. Concerns not adequately addressed. New York Post, Tracy Schwartz. Really, I got to tell you, in a New York Post, in a story about teen's breasts, I get that she's wearing a mask, and those are obviously stretched. But why are they giving her a shot into her clavicle? What are you doing? And it's a teen, so we'll see.
I assure you, my friends, this is not fake news. This is...
How can you assure us?
Reporting from the New York Post.
Which is always right.
And right now, top men are sitting behind the scenes saying, damn it, men, find me what caused this so we can make $50 billion overnight. Okay, and you clicked the video, so you know what it's about.
Yeah, we didn't click on it because of the name of it. We clicked on it because we're all curious as to see how a simpleton like you will address the concept. There's plenty of porn on the internet. Nobody needs to chase clickbait. Like, hey, maybe we'll get to see boobs and Tim Pool. That's not redundant or anything. The man is a boob.
Listening on the audio.
I think he wears the hat because he's got a nipple on top of his head. And I feel free to at me.
Podcast. Teens' breasts grew to triple G cup size following COVID vaccination.
How quickly are we talking?
Concerns not adequately addressed. I'm not going to bury the lead. I'll tell you exactly what the story claims. There is a report, a study that tracks this woman whose breasts started to grow rapidly after getting the vaccine, and then rapidly more after her second dose. Now, maybe it's a coincidence, but it really does seem like it correlates.
Okay, if it correlates, then there is not a cause. Dumbass. That's exactly the point. Correlation, not causation. That is what you're effectively confessing.
There have actually been other reports that women who got vaccinated saw their breasts begin to grow. Probably an extremely rare side effect. But the point of the story is there are scientists and researchers saying if we can figure out how an injection made breasts grow, you would eliminate the breast implant plastic surgery industry overnight.
No, you wouldn't. First of all, I wouldn't deal at all with people who get them because of mastectomies. And secondly, this side effect doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. It could cause problems later on. It could, it could turn out to be a scene in Everything You Know About Sex, but Everything You Want to Know About Sex, but We're Afraid to Ask by Woody Allen.
And women would just get whatever medication this was that made the boobs grow. Now, that being said, it's...
Apparently the medication that this was the COVID vaccine.
Possible it's unrelated, but I will stress, it really does, according to this story, appear...
Why are you blurring it? Okay, fuck this guy. He's blurring it to make it seem like more of a thing, so that you'll go, oh, it's blurred. It must be blurred for a reason. Good Lord. But I couldn't, because it's just going to get dumber. You know that, right? You know it's just going to get dumber. Also, but before we go on to the real clip of the show, can I show you my one cool sneaky thing that I brought into CES? My Kiss bracelet. See this? This Kiss bracelet right here. See that? You know why it's cool and it's very CES? Because it's a USB drive. Yeah, there you go. I'm just saying. So if I needed to pick up any data while I was there, I could go bang. And that Nerd City. Yeah, Kiss Nerd. This might be the first, but it won't be the last. All right. Anyways, let's get on with the actual show tonight, because this is going to be long. Trump, from what I've seen in images, I have not watched this, and I have avoided watching any of it because I don't want to even begin to be aware. I don't want to torment myself with seeing this twice anyways, but also from the images I've seen, he looks like shit. I can only imagine how he smells at this point. And I will say, on a side note, the people at CES seem to split into two groups. There are those groups that smell like, when you're in the crowd, smell like they're on their way to a venture capital meeting, and they are perfumed up to the nines, and they are chewing gum, just covering all their scent, checking all their scent boxes. And then there are people, the rest of them, who smell like the lettuce on a hamburger. You know what I mean? If you literally took it off and you went, that's what they smell like. They just walking around like that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Uh-oh, Cosmic Rose has a USB bracelet on now? Look at that. Yeah, I'm not going to... Thank you for noticing, Celestial. So here he is, wandering out on Real Sodomite Broadcasting Network, or whatever, RSBN. It's this, and there, I gotta say, Right Side Broadcasting loves Trump. They are there to support him at every turn. They really just deliver for the dude, which is why they named this 2025-0107 Full Speech DJT Press Conference. It's like, dude, do you think YouTube is your Dropbox for everybody at work? They probably do. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you. Many things are happening that are exciting.
Also, by the way, why does he say honor to be with you when he hates the press?
Very exciting for our country. Mm-hmm. And we're honored to welcome one of the most respected business leaders in the Middle East, indeed the world.
Baghdadi he died like a dog. Who thinks he's just gonna? What is he gonna do? Unveil a couple, like a $50 billion in investment, or $100 billion, or $200 billion in investment, right? Which is just fucking fabulous. Buddies of his from his golf clubs that are gonna come and spend $50 billion here in our $26 trillion economy. Man, you're killing it.
He's a founder and chairman of DMAC Properties.
Oh, he's a realty guy. So he's real estate. You're into real estate. You know him? Real estate? Okay.
Hussein Sejwani.
Francisco and Rinaldi Sheeswees.
Very respected gentleman.
He must be. Other people told me this. I don't really know him. He's very respected. Other people like him. You don't have to trust me. The fuck do I know?
And I'm thrilled to announce today that DMAC will be investing at least $20 billion over a very short period of time into
10 years, 20 years. What's short?
To the United States, and they may go double or even somewhat more than double that amount of.
Somewhat more than double. Anybody want to do the math on that?
Money is a great thing, and I believe he will say that he's doing it because of the fact that he was very inspired by the election. They wouldn't do it without that election, I can tell you a lot.
Right, because you know him from the real estate world and investment world, and he thinks you're going to give him like contracts or special breaks specifically. This is just like announcing crony capitalism to the world. And that's me giving him the benefit of the doubt. This might just be straight up like, I'm getting a bribe. Don't you? It sucks to be you, America.
A lot of people wouldn't. You saw last week where we have somebody who's going to go from 100 to 200 billion dollars.
No, he said 100. You said 200. You made that up.
And we have many other people, and we'll be bringing some of them out.
Please, yeah, bring them out. Bring them out. Let's parade them around. Make them write the check. I'm holding up like it's a fucking telethon. Just have them give a big check.
Of them like to do it somewhat more quietly, and some don't, and they feel so strongly about the country that they want to let people know about it. But it's an honor to have such a great investor.
And some of them don't feel great about the country, so they don't want to let people know about it.
Investing in our country. The investment will support massive new data centers across the Midwest.
Oh, okay. So he's making money off of the Chips and Science Act that Biden passed. So you're going to take advantage of the tax breaks and the investment in the loan guarantees put for. Oh, cool. Good to know. That's probably why you're announcing it before you come in, so it's on Biden's budgetary ledger and not yours. Right, gotcha.
The Sun Belt area, and also to keep America
the Sun Belt
on the cutting edge of technology and artificial intelligence. He's very big into the data centers.
Are they the data centers? Does he know where those are?
And that's going to be a very hot item in the coming.
Well, it's in the Sun Belt. It's got to be.
Years, as you know, with AI. In particular, the first phase of the project will be in Texas, Arizona, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana.
That's a big phase. So he's basically just investing in data centers that already exist there because everybody knows it's going to grow, except stupid people.
Places. And Hussein, I'd love you to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're not going to say Hussein like you say it with Obama? Hussein, you're not going to do this business?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been amazing news.
By the way, I think it's great, and whatever this guy wants to do, who gives a shit? We'll see later whether it works out or it's criminal or not, or any of that stuff. We'll put that aside. Just take a moment to enjoy the fact that Trump introducing this guy and giving him a spot to speak is freaking the fuck out of MAGA. They're all like, who the fuck, what? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
For me and my family, when he was elected in November, we've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S. to very large amount of money.
I see. So you've just been holding that money until Trump gets in out of spite against the American people, or because you were counting on him to give you a break, and the Biden administration wouldn't wanted you to like put up or shut up?
We are a company operating in more than 20 countries around the world. We have delivered more than 40.
Oh, so you're a globalist. Okay, cool. MAGA, you good with that? Okay, cool. Just clearing. A globalist investor with a global corporation that is globally globalizing.
45,000 luxury units and another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East.
Right. All the places Trump supposedly hates.
And we're very, very excited now with his leadership and his open strategy and policy to encourage business.
By the way, if you'll notice, Trump has makeup on his right arm, his right hand, to cover the needle bruise that he has. Did you guys see the needle bruise on his hand? Old people get like that. That happens. But Trump had a needle bruise a little bit, not just recently. Hold on. Let's see. Trump bruise right hand, whatever the. Yeah, so he gets. Yeah, that's the old one. Because he gets wherever they're. Yeah. You know, like you've seen, well, let's see. You've seen McConnell's hand, right, with the bruises on him, or even Biden's, because sometimes they'll do back of the hand, that kind of shit. Yeah, here he is with Sean Hannity. And so he's got makeup covering that spot on his hand. You can see it. It's whiter than the rest of his skin.
Businesses to come to U.S. For the last 4 years, we've been waiting for this moment, and we're planning to invest $20 billion, and even more than that if the opportunity in the market allow us. But at the moment, we're planning
adrenochrome injections. I thought you just drink that, Manchita. I never got invited to those parties, so I don't know.
$20 billion in data center, catering for the AI and cloud business for the hyperscale.
Who gives a shit what you cater to? Data centers are just that. So I don't care what he says. Who cares?
And that man knows what he's doing.
Does he? Do you? How do you know? Explain to us what he does and what he's doing so that we know you know that he's doing it right. And this is, you're going to describe it, understand you're a person who bankrupted a casino, so.
He knows.
What?
So, Hussein, we're going to work with you and make sure everything goes smoothly. We have powers that haven't really been used in terms of environmental. If you invest over $1 billion in the United States, we're going to give expedited reviews to everybody because everyone's afraid they're going to come in and get caught in the quagmire, which is very prevalent in the United States, unfortunately.
Yes, we have a prevalent quagmire.
The quagmire of environmental and various other regulations and rules.
Yeah, that whole thing that keeps America livable.
And I made it.
Yeah, this, by the way, this is America first. Yeah. Hey, foreigners, want to invest billions into our country? Come on over here. We don't give a shit if you get microplastics in our water supply.
Point of telling people if you invest $1 billion or more, and we'll do this for people with far less too, but we get.
So $1 billion or less? What about Americans? Aren't we? Do we get a blood, sweat, and tears like credit for against our taxes? I consider that an investment in my country.
Guarantee it. We're going to move them quickly through the environmental process.
Right. Yeah. In places like Oklahoma and stuff. Great. So just look ahead, maybe 10, 15 years, a bunch of kids being born with birth defects and stuff like that. It'll be the Trump birth defects. But hey, we got over $1 billion or maybe less than $1 billion or sometimes half or more of half, more than half or a third higher than double that. So that's good.
Sometimes people held up 12, 13, 14, 15 years. I saw it with plants.
Get ivermectin. Do these motherfuckers have any new ads?
It's in Louisiana where I got it approved in literally a week. They were through the review in 1 week after spending 14 and a half years trying to get it, and they were going nowhere. It was a terrible thing. So I've been a victim of that myself over the years.
Aw.
And I think I know all the games and all the tricks that are played.
Yeah, just name one.
And much of it is just done to stop progress. So we're going to be helping.
Yeah, that's what it is. So you think they just do it, something in Louisiana, 14 years in Louisiana, and it was just Louisiana trying to stop progress. What were they trying to, you know what I mean? You could argue that that's what oncologists do with cancer. They try to stop progress too, if you really boil it down.
You and everybody else that comes to the United States and wants to invest their money.
Everybody?
That you don't get tied up for the rest of your life and you can't do anything.
Yeah, like if you're a cartel or something and you want to open a fake pharmaceutical company in the country, and you build that up, and then you just make the fentanyl under the table, and and he'll cover it.
This commitment further underscores that many of the greatest business leaders on earth are seeing a very bright economic future for America since the election, as you know.
Or for themselves. They're seeing that you will cut them special deals. that the biggest polluters in the world will finally get to build shit in the United States.
A lot of positive things have happened.
Totally.
We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and
No, you're not. It's literally the best economy we've had in forever.
they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage, and interest rates are far too high.
Yeah, I don't think they have any control over that, according to you. So maybe it's, you know what, maybe inflation and interest rates are continuing to rage and rise because people know you're coming into office and you're going to fuck things up.
I've been disappointed to see the Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for. We had a landslide election. We won
No, you didn't.
every swing state. We won.
Yeah, but the margin was 1.5 million, 1.7 million, something like that. Simmer the fuck down.
The popular vote by millions and millions of people.
Less than million. Well, millions and millions. No, that would be 4 million. Just millions, plural. I think like 2 million, somewhere around there.
Nobody even knows how many people. Millions.
It's less than millions and millions.
And they're still counting in some areas. You know, they're still counting the vote in some areas. Can you believe this?
Yeah, they don't use computers there.
What a place. What a horrible place. One of the things we're going to do is we've got to
Fuck you, dude. What's with the America First stuff? What a horrible place, America. Fuck's wrong with you?
fix the election.
Wouldn't it be what a horrible situation? What a horrible circumstance? What do you mean a horrible place? Fuck you.
So that we get honest counts and they get done by 10 o'clock in the evening or something thereabouts.
You need to get to bed, Gramps.
They have places where they're still counting votes.
Yeah, for local shit, dummy.
President Biden's actions yesterday on offshore drilling, banning offshore drilling, will not stand. I will reverse it immediately. It'll be done.
Yeah, and then those states will lose their beaches and their fishing and their leisure boating and their the cruise ships that dock in and out of there. All that stuff will just go. Cool. Yeah, Louisiana, fuck Louisiana at this point. I guess if that's what they're doing, like, and it's the law, so he can't. He's just silly.
Immediately, and we will drill, baby, drill. And we're going to be drilling in a lot of other locations, and the energy costs are going to come way down. They'll be brought down to a very low level, and that's going to bring everything else down. That's what caused
Not everything. No, that's the supply shock part.
it to go up.
Yeah, there's no efficiency quotient when you're shipping nothing.
Along with the ridiculous spending on the Green New scam, all this money, trillions of dollars. It's like throwing it right out the window, what they're doing. And they're trying to spend so much now. They're just taking money and giving it to anybody that wants it for any project at all.
Shit, I'm glad I'm going to be in D.C. in a couple weeks.
If it's certified under the Green New scam, and they don't work, and it's too expensive. And
You mean like Teslas? Yeah. What junk?
they told me that we're going to
Wait, hold on. I can't wait to hear what he told me. But don't forget, like, subscribe. There's the Venmo, patreon.com/outletsparks, etc. Okay.
do everything possible to make this transition to the new administration very smooth. It's not smooth because they're doing that. They're playing with the courts, as you know. They've been playing with the courts for 4 years, probably got me more votes because I got the highest number of votes ever gotten
No, you didn't.
by a Republican,
No, you didn't.
by far, actually.
No, he didn't.
By
I mean, he means in 2020, largely because Biden got a lot more, too, because, again, we all got our votes postmated.
a lot. And, we had a great election, so I guess it didn't work. But even to this day, they're playing with the courts. They have their friendly judges that like to try and make everybody happy on the Democrat side.
Oh, I appreciate that. I think happiness is important. The pursuit of it is actually in the Constitution. So I think they are legally mandated to try and make me happy, or at least allow me to pursue my happiness.
It's called lawfare. It's called weaponization of justice, and it's happened at a level nobody's ever seen before. So many.
Well, I mean, in a democracy, isn't everything equal to some degree? I understand the importance of the presidency, but it's still elected official. So if it's happened to, I don't know, like a Nixon, then we have seen it at this level before.
Defeated deranged Jack Smith. He's a deranged individual. I guess he's on his way back to The Hague. And we won those
You had to try war criminals.
cases. Those were the biggest ones.
You didn't win.
And the press made such a big deal out of them, but we did nothing wrong. We did nothing.
Cool. You know what you should do? I think it's a great idea. Release all of the paperwork around them, all the grand jury testimony, all the evidentiary stuff. Just release it. People will see. People will see you did nothing wrong. Total transparency is the key. All your communications with the, back and forth with the government about the classified documents, who you talked to and why they moved it, all that stuff. Your communications with the people that are going to jail. Yeah, just release it all. I mean, obviously, once he is sworn in, if I file a Freedom of Information Act request for all of Jack Smith's files, I should get them, right? Shouldn't I get them? You guys think so, right? Like, if I want all of them, I mean, and obviously they can give them to me digitally. I don't need them to print new copies of everything. But I feel like I should get them, right?
Wrong on anything. And the people saw that. When they vote when a Republican, it's not easy for a Republican. When the Republican wins the popular vote by millions and wins all 7 of the swing states, people said, well, he could win 4. We won all 7, and we won them by a lot. That tells you we won. That tells, and they've been watching. Yeah, no.
Look, the turnout was low. The margin is small. Just because you won the states doesn't mean you won the margin in those states by this much. Again, stop acting like it's 60-40 or 70-30. Shit.
This injustice. I call it the Injustice Department. What they've done is so bad. The whole world has watched that.
Yeah, and most of them are surprised you're not on an island.
And it took work, but it got me a lot of votes.
Shutter Island.
It's because when explained, we have a judge in New York who's a very crooked judge. I'm under a gag order. I can't even talk about aspects of the case that are the most vital aspects. I'm under a gag. Do you know that I'm the president-elect of the United States of America? I'm a former very successful president. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country.
Nope.
We had borders that were sealed and beautiful. We had everything.
Yeah, because of COVID.
Everything was good. We had no wars.
What are you talking about? Biden ended the Afghan war.
We defeated ISIS.
No, you didn't. They're everywhere.
We had no wars. Now I'm going into a world that's burning with Russia and Ukraine, with Israel. You took a look at that attack on October 7th, the attack on Israel, with the horrible way they got out. Not the fact that they got out. I would have been out before them. But we would have been out of Afghanistan with dignity and strength as
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
opposed to looking like a bunch of fools with 13 dead and many, many badly, horrifically injured. Nobody ever talks about them. No arms, no
Again, he's just doing, this is all muscle memory
legs.
at this point.
Nobody ever talks about them. The way they got out was outrageous, leaving billions.
You know what you should do is release your plan to get out. The plan you had. Just release it. That'll show them. Declassify the plan to leave. I mean, we're out, so who gives a shit? Declassify what you would have done. You had a plan, right? Post it on fucking whitehouse.gov. Well, I'll read it. I'll read it on the fucking air.
Billions of dollars of brand new military equipment that I bought in the hands of the Afghans and specifically the Taliban.
Well, yeah, I think it's more important. But it was supposed to be for large part. The gear that was there was for the Afghans, the ones you left out of the conversation when you released 5,000 Taliban fighters before we got out.
It's the group. And we were doing very well. We would have been out. We would have been respected. I think it's one of the reasons it was so badly handled, that withdrawal where people are jumping onto airplanes, falling off the sides of airplanes when they're 3,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, but those people weren't let on the plane. Those were Afghans, apparently, that you didn't want brought here.
And nobody's ever seen anything like that, the worst.
We kind of have.
And because of that, I think Russia went and attacked Ukraine. When they saw that, they said, these guys are incompetent. They don't know what they're.
Yeah, but that was stupid, obviously, because they've lost almost 800,000 soldiers. Wouldn't you argue that they were like, hey, look, they're fucking up. Let's go. Turns out, I guess we were rope-a-doping them because we helped Ukraine kick their ass. Were we weakened? No. Did it slow our response? No. If anything, staying in would have done it.
They're doing. But we know what we're doing now.
Do you?
And that's going to all end. And we have a great military. I defeated ISIS, as you know. We're in no wars.
No, you didn't. They're still around. They're killing a lot of people. Have you checked Syria lately, fuckwad?
I just finished a couple. And we got also our soldiers guarding Syria and Turkey. We're in the middle. We had 5,000 soldiers. They would have been gobbled up with two armies. We had one army, 300,000. We had another one, 500,000 or 600,000.
Oh, this is him pulling our people out so that the Turks could kill the Kurds. As if the Turks would, the Turkey would attack U.S. soldiers and gobbled them up. We've been gobbled by a turkey. Oh, boy.
Getting ready. We had 5,000 people in the middle. I said to a general, how do 5,000 people do in that case? And the general just looked at me and said, not well, sir, not well.
So Turkey would be under the impression that they would just release their soldiers to just kill Americans that were, hey, it's only 5,000 U.S. service people. They won't mind.
And I took them out. And you know what happened? Nothing. I got criticized. I saved 5,000 lives, actually.
What are you? What? No, you didn't. You got 100,000 Kurds killed because our guys weren't there.
And we did a great job, and we're going to do an even better job because now we have a tremendous amount of experience. We have people.
Do we?
That I can rely on. But the 625 million acres, people can't realize. That's like the whole ocean. Take an
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
acre. You know, an acre, you have a house on a half an acre, on a quarter of an acre, or an acre. If you have an acre, you have a
Yeah, not in the ocean, though.
big deal.
Yeah, man, shut up. You'd be happy you have an acre.
Now you multiply that by 625 million acres.
That's 625 million farmhouses at the bottom of the ocean, I guess.
It's like, feels like the whole ocean.
Yeah, no, no, it doesn't at all. No, it doesn't. Not at all. If you took 625 million houses and you put them in the ocean anywhere, okay, I don't even know why I'm arguing this. This is so fucking stupid.
And
And you're an asshole. That's ridiculous. That's silly.
that's our strength, you know? People can say we manufacture, we don't manufacture. The thing we have oil and gas more than anybody in the world. And we're going to have more of it, too. But they took away 625 million acres of offshore drilling. Nobody else does that.
Yeah, they do. Lots of them, especially if the shores matter.
And they think they have it, but we'll put it back. I'm going to put it back on day one. I'm going to have it revoked on day one.
Yeah, you can't. You need the Congress to do it. And even still, a lot of people in the states, the Republicans there, don't want it. Ask North Carolina. And by the way, isn't this the asshole who's like, windmills ruin your view from a perfectly good golf course, but this motherfucker wants oil rigs out there because they're so much better looking than a big, pristine, white wind farm.
We'll go immediately if we need to. I don't think we should have to go to the courts, but if we do have to go to the courts, you know, they try to be sneaky. They go in and they sign. Remember, this is a man that said he wants to transition.
If they're sneaky, why would they announce it? Why wouldn't they just do it and not say anything, not announce it at all? Just pass the thing, put it in with a stack of other shit, and don't, register it someplace because you have to, but don't say anything. That would be the sneaky part. And then you find out when you got in, hey, this motherfucker.
To be smooth. Well, you don't do the kind of things. You don't have a judge working real hard to try and embarrass you.
Well, it's not like they're the ones that made you try to, I don't even want to say fuck Stormy Daniels because it was 3 minutes of like undulating and it was all over.
I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong.
Right. There's nothing wrong with cheating on your wife when she's home with your newborn. Cool. I think maggots would all agree with that, right? We have to have some trolls in here who are super pro-Trump, right? All of you would agree there is nothing wrong with lying to your wife and fucking a porn star at a golf thing while she's home with your newborn and then saying you're a Christian. No, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing, I think is his quote.
If I did something wrong, I wouldn't be standing here right now because I've won all these cases.
You haven't won all these cases.
Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have against the Justice Department. I mean, Jack Smith had cases all over the place. People were being subpoenaed, lives were being ruined. They were spending everything they had, money.
The other assholes are going to jail. The people that helped him are going to jail. It's just the fact that he got reelected that's protecting him.
Helping them out, we had to. They were subpoenaing people that had no idea what they were even talking about.
Well, I would guess they were given a piece of paper that explained the charges, yes? Or they wouldn't have bothered to get a lawyer, you know what I mean? If they handed them something that was just like, it had hieroglyphics on it, they'd probably go, I don't know, what the fuck is that? I'm not even sure myself, it's gibberish. Oh, okay. But if they were handed something like, oh shit, I should probably lawyer up in this case, then I think they would understand.
It's a sick group of people, and it was all to influence the election. It was all a fight against a political opponent. We've never had that in this country. We have had that in certain countries. We've had that in third-tier countries.
Third tier, third world is what you're trying to think. Third tier. I like third tier better. It's nicer.
We've had that in banana republics, but we've never had that in a place like the.
Yeah, I got to tell you. Yeah, anytime I try on a suit in a banana republic, I feel judged.
United States. I don't even know if it's been on a small level. I'm sure it has been on a small level, but this was the largest level ever. They brought this moron out of The Hague. He's a mean guy. He's a mean, nasty guy.
God damn. It's a wash. You get to walk away. You got elected. And again, what's the mean, nasty guy? Was there ever a point, I'm curious, did he ever have a sit down with Jack Smith where Jack Smith was like, excuse me 1 second, I'm checking something. Did Jack Smith like sit across from him at any fucking thing and yell at him or something ever? Because even, like, I think it's just the beard, right? I think it's just the fact that Jack Smith has a big beard that makes him think he's wild-eyed and something. Every time I've seen him speak, he's very quiet.
Picture was perfect because you look at his picture, you say, that's a bad guy.
That's what it was. Yeah, it's just his look. Yeah, you could tell. He's just got a beard.
With his robe, his purple robe.
That's what they wear at The Hague, fuckwad.
And he executes people. He shouldn't be allowed to execute people because he'll execute everybody. He's a nut.
Yeah, he's like the Punisher, or he's more like Judge Dredd.
Yeah, but we won all of those cases with him, and
no, you didn't. You ran out the clock.
I mean, I don't know the judge in Florida, but we had a brilliant judge.
You don't know her. You appointed her
in Florida that saw right through it, and we won the case. She was a brilliant judge with great courage. You know
You gave her job. She doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She lucked out.
The left, as we call them, the radical left, they have a way, they play the ref, and they play it very hard. They play the ref. They go and say horrible things about judges and prosecutors.
What the fuck have you been doing for the what the shit? What have you been doing? Jack Smith's a prosecutor. You just talked about the judge in New York. Jesus.
And some judges and prosecutors say, look, the only way I'm going to get these people off my back is to give victory to them. They're playing the ref. I think it's illegal.
You mean like Eileen Cannon with MAGA?
What they do. It's almost like talking. It's worse than talking to a judge. But
it's worse than talking to a judge.
Judge in Florida, Judge Cannon, was brilliant and tough, and she didn't stand for it. And I don't know her.
Right.
And never met her until the case, and I don't believe I said even one word to her.
You appointed her.
But she was very, very strong and very, very brilliant, and her opinion was so brilliant that they dropped their appeal. They couldn't beat the appeal. So that's what we're up
No, you won the election, so that's why they dropped the appeal.
against. So they say we're going to have a smooth transition. All they do is talk. It's all talk.
Well, apparently not. Apparently they're filing a lot of shit and doing sneaky things, and
Everything they do is talk. We're going to have a smooth transition, and then they take 625 million acres and they
billion,
essentially landmark it so you can't ever drill there again. Well, we're going to be
essentially.
drilling soon.
We're going to be drilling soon.
Be opening up Anwar. We're going to be doing all sorts of things that nobody ever thought was even possible. But remember when
Certainly not advisable.
and just to get off the subject, because I couldn't believe it when I heard it yesterday. I couldn't believe the size of it. I mean, you put down a map and put this up. It's just massive. And remember that that's worth probably, I mean, I've had estimates, 40 to 50 trillion dollars. That's more than our national debt. Essentially, he's thrown it away. He's thrown it away.
No, he isn't. And it's exploratory drilling. They don't know if it's there or not. You're just going to go punch holes in the seafloor and see if they come up with oil?
He's taken.
When there's going to be a glut this year anyways? When, like, global demand is collapsing? Why?
$50 trillion. So if we owe $35 trillion, he's taking.
Yeah, this is oil companies, though. We only get a fraction of that shit, and if it damages, like, over time, like if they have a big oil spill, maybe you can go fight them in the courts and win with these oil companies and get them to cover some of the damage and shit, but they'll claim it'll put them out of business and yada yada, and the taxpayer will end up covering for it. But most part, we just get a pittance of it, and then if it's long-term damage, like, you know, that in a slow roll, it lowers the, you know, the fish, it destroys the coral reefs, whatever. But it's long-term damage. It's almost impossible to bring a lawsuit against them.
$50 trillion of value and thrown it right out the window. We can't do that. Nope.
Well, how about $100 trillion worth of food? What's the cost of food off the coasts as far as our, like, fishing industry? Because I don't know anytime soon when we're going to be able to replace eating the way we can replace fossil fuels with solar.
Nobody can do that. One other thing he did yesterday, which was in many ways.
By the way, I am enjoying how Biden is needling him and making him very upset. This is fun.
It's worse. It's hard to believe it can be worse. He wants all gas heaters out of your homes and apartments. He wants them to be replaced by essentially electric heaters. I don't know.
Essentially electric heaters? What do I have? Is coal different?
I don't know what it is with electric. This guy loves electric. We're going to be ending the electric car mandate quickly, by the way.
Yeah, fuck Tesla.
This guy loves electric.
Oh, yeah. This has nothing to do with... He's not talking about like little gas... He means water heaters. They want to go from tank to tankless on new builds. They can still be gas.
And we don't have enough electricity, and then we have AI where we need more, and he wants everybody to have an electric heater instead of a gas heater. Gas heater is much less expensive. The heat is much better. It's a much better heat.
It is a much better heat. Yeah, if you're cooking, I would rather cook with gas than on an electric stove, and the same thing is true of your legs under a table when it's chilly in the apartment.
As the expression goes, you don't itch.
No. Is that how the expression goes? As the expression goes, you don't itch? What? Hold on, wait. I don't even... What? What?
It's a much better heat.
It is, sure. I'm with you there. 100%.
As the expression goes, you don't itch. Does anybody have a heater where you go and you're scratching? And that's what they want you to have. They don't want you.
That's what they want you to get infected from scratching yourself, and it's just like they want mosquito heating. That's what they want. They want you to have a rash and a itchy.
Have gas where you don't have the problems of the electric. And
sorry. This is what happens when somebody's never actually gone camping in their life, I think. Ever. Like, never been outside, never been, like, near an actual fire. Like, think about it. When's the last time you saw this motherfucker in front of a fireplace ever? Even in a picture. Right? Who's that rich and doesn't at least have like one picture of them at a ski lodge or some shit? Right?
And the source is plentiful. They're much cheaper to operate. They're much better. They work much better. They look much better.
They do. They look so much better, you know, with that little tiny tickling, as opposed to the coil that buzzes like it's the fucking 40s.
60% of homes and apartments have gas heaters. He wants them all removed quickly.
No, he doesn't. It just means you don't, when you replace them with electric ones. So we don't have to use fossil fuels or burn them to heat these places.
These people are crazy. There's something wrong with them.
Or you don't know what you're talking about at all.
There's something wrong with them. They also want to go back, and they have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to...
A faucet? Sorry. Wait. When you buy a what?
They have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water...
A faucet. That's one of those things on your sink that has 4 spouts? A faucet.
Comes out because they want to preserve, even in areas that have so much water you don't know what to do. It's called rain. Comes down from heaven.
I see. Is that where rain comes from? I always thought it came from clouds because I figured heaven's everywhere. It would have to be all around, but it comes from heaven. Is that angels crying? Okay. Jesus.
And they want to do no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip.
Are you sure you're not being tortured for information? Oh, you can't remember anything anyways. I don't know why they would bother.
So what happens? You're in the shower 10 times as long, you know?
Yeah, but if it's only dripping,
No water comes out of the faucet. You want to wash your hands. They want to go back to even stronger than what they have right now. As you know, I ended that policy. You can have all the water you want. Makes no difference. It comes weird, especially in certain areas. We have so much water, we don't know what to do with it.
Well, apparently, what you're going to do is flood the kitchen.
But these are all things they want.
They are. These are all.
Very little water to go into your dishwasher, almost none. And you know what people do? They just keep pressing, keep it going. They end up.
Is that what they do? They just keep running the dishwasher over and over again. Have you thought about detergent? Maybe, I don't know that. Maybe that's what you're missing. Maybe it's just doing it with water isn't cutting it, or maybe rinse your dish before you put it in because you're eating crusty, nasty shit. Who are these fucking morons? Is this what maggots are telling you? I think we might have figured out why you have these, what you believe is common sense and I would call common misconceptions, is that maybe you're hearing anecdotal stories, follow me on this, from fucking morons. Maybe the next time somebody tells you a story about how their dishwasher doesn't work and they keep pressing it, you might go, do you use detergent? And they'll go, use what? Detergent. No, that's got chemicals in it. I see. And what was on these plates? Mostly like, I do this oatmeal cheese dish. It'll stick to your ribs and everything else.
Using more water. Likewise, washing machines. They want in your washing machine to have very little water coming out of the washing machine. So when you wash...
For the record, can I just say this? I don't want any, as someone who does laundry in the house quite often, I don't want any water coming out of my washing machine. I would like it to stay inside the washing machine during the washing process and perhaps even drain.
Wash your clothing, you have to wash it 4 times instead of once.
No, you don't. Not anywhere. No one knows what the fuck you're talking about.
You end up using more water.
Well, then, where did this come from? I'd like to hear please, I wish the origin of this story. Can I please, I'd like to bring out Edna Mae. She's from Tennessee, and she's the one that told me about the washing machine. I do that all the time. I've been trying to get my clothes clean, and it is hard to get, brain and fecal material out of a shirt after a night like that. And now, I put it in the washing machine, and there ain't no water coming out. Is it plugged into the wall? Boy, are you stupid? Of course it's plugged in to the electricity. No, I mean to the water. Why would I do that?
We're a party of common sense.
Yeah, big step in. I know there are washing machines that use less water. It's an efficiency thing. They work just fine. That's my point, though. Fucking hell.
And things that I'm telling you now is really all about common sense. On
It is. Or common misconceptions.
January 20th, we'll turn the economy around very quickly.
Great. So all the job growth and all that kind of stuff, the stock market that's gone up, you're going to just turn it right around, head backwards. We're going to take it backwards, are we? You're forced. Oh, thank you, Cosmic Rest.
Because right now when I think of our economy, I think about inflation. That's what we have. We have inflation, I believe.
We do have inflation. It's true.
At a level that we never had before.
Well, no, we had more of it. Now it's come down. I mean, it's going back up because they're expecting your tariffs to come in.
There's never been anything like it.
There has, lots of times.
And over the next 4 years, the United States is going to take off like a rocket ship.
Which one? You know what I mean? I would. There's a good portion of rocket ships do okay. There's a decent percentage that blow up on the landing pad. Which ship? Like Challenger, because that feels like what people are expecting from your economic plan.
But really, it's already doing it. If you take a look.
Yes, apparently nothing Biden has done has killed the economy, apparently.
Just last month, SoftBank announced the $200 billion. I think it'll be 200. He said
He said 100.
100, and I said, how about making it 200?
He said between 100? Between 100 and 100? I'll have a Bloody Mary and a steak sandwich please.
And he sort of said yes, but let's say
He sort of said yes. That's good enough for me. $26 trillion economy. Some dude says sort of yes to $200 billion on some rando fucking investment scheme.
it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian?
Why would Brian know?
Dollars, United States creating more than 100,000 jobs. Hussein
Or 50.
just announced a tremendous investment that he's going to make, and that's money that's in the bank. He's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build
It is.
the best centers
Put it on the Underhills. Yeah.
in the country, I guarantee, because I know the way he builds. Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index
Since Biden's election, it's set records, you weirdo.
has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever, never even close,
Thanks, Nvidia.
in a single month.
Gee, it's almost like AI is entirely driving that sector now.
Small business optimism soared 41 points. It's not a 41. It went up 41 points.
Yeah, that's because all the Republicans were pretending everything was hell, and now they're like, he won, everything's fine.
And that's the largest in the 39-year history of.
That's because never before have Republicans intentionally shit-talked America for such a long stretch.
The group that does it. According to Gallup, the American people's confidence in the economy has just surged to the highest level in history. That's why I have a news conference like that. I take the greatest business leaders in the world. I say, hey, do you want to say you're going to invest the money? They're not looking for news conferences. They're saying, what am I doing here? They go in and they invest money. But it's good to know where the smartest business people in the world are investing, and they're investing in the United States.
Yeah, they kind of always have.
So we've done this all in 2 months.
Really? Pac-Man's having Cenk on yet tomorrow? What do you gotta flip to the right and suddenly everybody, maybe that's my problem. You know what my problem is? I'm too consistent and too good a guy. I gotta start doing some outlandish horse shit and flip-flopping on my ideals. That'll get my numbers up on my channel. Jesus.
Of not being there.
It's pathetic. Pac-Man, have me on, you asshole. For real. Same with Brian Tyler Cohen. Have me on. What the fuck's wrong with you? You're going to have Cenk on again before you have me on? What the hell?
You know, we haven't been there. And It's pretty amazing, and we think we're going to do some really great things, really great things. We're being
Like what?
respected again all over the world. The Panama Canal is a disgrace, what took place at the Panama Canal.
Yes, the Battle of the Panama Canal. It was so sad. He had a beautiful plan for getting out of the Panama Canal, and we were going to leave, but we were going to leave with grace and dignity and keep it at the same time.
Jimmy Carter gave it to them for $1, and they were supposed to treat us well. I thought it was a terrible thing to do.
It's kind of their land.
It was the most expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively.
Relatively to the fact that it's not in our country?
It would be the equivalent of substantially over $1 trillion today.
Wow. You don't say. To cut through an entire continent?
We lost 38,000 people.
Where are they? We should have. I'm telling you, that's why we got to chip everybody.
Think of it, 38,000 people, they
Okay, 30. I'm thinking of it. Sure.
died from malaria, mosquitoes.
Yeah, malaria mosquitoes. Those are the worst kind.
They were unable to stop the mosquitoes. They paid
Well, they tried. I mean, they're just hard to hit because they bob and weave.
people 5 times more to take the job. Many of those people died.
So it wasn't worth it, is what you're saying.
We gave it away for $1. But the deal was that, you know, they have to treat us fairly. They don't treat us fairly. They charge
Aw.
more for our ships than they charge for ships of other countries.
Because our ships are bigger?
They charge more for
Because our ships have higher insurance?
our Navy than they charge for navies of other countries.
That's because the other navies don't come through and our ships are way bigger than theirs?
They laugh at us because they think we're stupid.
Well, I think that's just you. I think, you're hearing that on the phone, are you, every time you call them?
But we're not stupid anymore. So the Panama Canal is under discussion with them right now. They violated every aspect of the agreement, and they morally violated it also.
Yeah, and moral violations are the worst. I agree. Anybody who would do a moral violation of, yeah.
And they want our help because it's leaking and not in good repair.
It's leaking. Yeah, they're afraid that water will get into the earth.
And they want us to give $3 billion to help fix it. I said, well, why don't you get the money from China? Because China's basically taken it over. China's at both ends of the Panama Canal. China's running the Panama Canal. And they come to see this Biden, this guy who should never have been allowed even to run for president.
So you're against the infrastructure bill. Got it.
Of course, she shouldn't have either, because that never happened. It had to be 2 people, not 1. But they want $3 billion to fix the Panama Canal that's run by China and makes a lot of money, China.
Yeah, China makes a bunch of money, China.
One of the most profitable structures ever built, because you have ships lined up back to Florida, frankly, and they just keep going through. And the
Chinese ships?
numbers are staggering, $500,000 to $1 million a ship.
Uh-huh.
And they took it away from a...
Hold on. Wait. Hang the fuck on. $500,000 to $1 million a ship. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Panama charges tariffs for boats and ships to pass through canal fees based on the size, purpose of the vessel, and the charges range from as low as 50 cents to as high as $300,000. This is the Trump bitching about this. The officials, please be guided. If the principles, both moral and legal, and magnanimous gesture, do not follow, U.S. Panama uses the Panama Canal more than any other country. Was transferred from the U.S. to Central American country in 1999 as a result of the 1979 treaty under Carter, which Trump said was a foolish decision. Okay. took issue with the fees charged using the Panama Canal, a vital shipping route on Saturday night, claiming that he will demand oversight in the waterway beginning back to the U.S. when he returns to office. If not changed, the fees being charged are ridiculous, especially knowing the extraordinary generosity is bestowed on Panama by the U.S. It's a complete ripoff. Charges tariffs for boats and ships. Okay, this would be, so let's see if this jumps in here. Maritime tariff list. Okay, cool. The list for the tolls and the thing. Let's see. Fixed tariff component per transit. Okay, go away. This is a very big, there we go. Regular vessel category with others, 15 grand. Regular vessel, 25,000 for passengers, general cargo. What's the highest? $1.50 for that guy, $35, $55. 3,200 for 65 feet to 24 meters, 65 to 80. Local tourism vessels, 2,500. Intra-maritime cluster, marine bunkering, ocean going, tariff per cent. Okay, blah, blah. Scrolling through here, 11,600 for a tug. That's expensive. Complete transit in Panamax locks for vessels, overall length from 213 meters, 700 feet to 107 feet in beam. Try regular tug services, 18,000, 2,000, bobbity ba. 70% of reservation tariff, change in transit reservation date over 7. Okay, so these are just the fees if you move your date when you're going through because they've got a queue. Just-in-time service for vessels transiting the Neo-Panamax lock. So if you got to do it in a hurry, it's 10 grand. Here, 100,000 last-minute transit reservations for super vessels. That's last minute. Last-minute transit reservation for Neo-Panamax vessels. So these would be if somebody just goes, we got to get through there immediately, which I would guess we don't have a military, like our military agreement would be able to go around that. Not that we don't have a Pacific and Atlantic fleet. Anyways, here's to a high impact disruption charge for if they block it for a while and nobody else can go through is the idea. Dead tow surcharge. So if your ship stops and sing, dead ship surcharge. That's fucking spooky. Dead ship surcharge Neo-Panamax. Mandatory. $250K if your ship, gets stuck and is run by zombies, I guess would be the whole thing. Okay, so that's the all right. If a ship has to go through last minute, a cargo ship, last minute needs to bully in front of everybody else, it's an extra big charge. And but everything short of that seems to be in like under $20,000 for the giant ships that go through there. It's just fucking dumb. This is stupid. Like he wants a break for his buddies who want to cut line in front of other people's shipping. He wants U.S. ships to be able to cut in front of other ships so they don't have to wait in line to go through it without having to pay that surcharge. That the U.S. ship should not have to do that. So his buddies who are in import-export world or his friends from overseas, he can bypass it.
We gave it to him for $1, but not going to happen. What they've done to us, they've charged us, they've overcharged our ships, overcharged our Navy. And then when they need repair money, they come to the United States to put it up. We get nothing. Those days are over. Working with the...
Also, again, I feel like these are just like guys who ship a lot of goods through there or have a lot of Chinese goods that are coming through the other direction. Want to pass. Or, it might be what Bezos was asking him for.
Republican majorities in Congress will cut taxes, slash regulations, raise wages, and boost incomes at a pace the world has not seen before.
Yeah, it'll happen so fast, the economy won't even be able to recover. And by the way, the wages will go up super fast at a rate you've never seen and also not be inflationary. It's like magic.
And certainly not from our country. We had a big...
Well, we've seen it in other countries, and it causes the collapse of their currency. So, yeah, that's why you haven't seen it here.
Chunk of it for the first 3 years of prior to COVID coming in my administration. We had the greatest economy in history.
No, we didn't.
We cut the most regulations in the history of our country.
And again, and a couple of years later, we have COVID, and we've got trains crashing in Indiana.
I did that all in 4 years.
Or Ohio, both.
By 4 times more than any other president cut. We did that in 4 years. And we were
Also, no, you didn't. Like, again, bullshit number. Just seriously, just nonsense. Just made up.
just getting started. We'll impose new
Lying. He's just getting started lying.
tariffs so that the products on our stores will once again be stamped.
Oh, that's why. Because they're on the store. I've been looking on the shelves, and the shelves are empty. It's because they put them on the store. I'm sorry.
With those beautiful words, made in the USA.
That's 2 words and 3 letters. Made in America would be the 3 word. Never mind.
And we are not treated well, as you know, by Canada.
Aw.
Canada is subsidized to the tune of about $200 billion a year, plus other things.
No, we don't subsidize Canada $200 billion. What are you talking about? You mean he means like a trade deficit.
They don't essentially have a military. They have a very small military. They rely on
Yeah, they don't really need them. I don't think the Eskimos are going to try and take back the whole chunk anytime soon.
our military.
To do what? Fight off polar bears and hockey pucks?
It's all fine, but, you know, they got to pay for that.
No, they don't. We're not a protection racket, fucko. What are you going to do? Let them be weak. Let them only have the military they can fucking afford. And then when the Russians come over the top after the permafrost goes, you'll be personally responsible for the fact that they had a running start at the United States. Great work, dum-dum.
It's very unfair. I have so many great friends. One of them is the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I said, run for prime minister. You'll win it'll take 2 seconds, but.
Yeah, but that's stupid. That's really stupid. Again, just having people run things just because they're famous is stupid. And again, it's a prime minister, so what the fuck?
He said, well, am I going to run for prime minister or governor? You tell me. I said, I don't know. Let's make it governor. I like it better. But no, something's going to have to be
This is the whole thing about like Canada being the 51st state or some horseshit.
done. Same thing with Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico.
Yeah, because your buddies move their factories there.
And we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels.
Really? We help them be run by the cartels? Maybe we should stop helping.
And can't let that happen.
Well, apparently we are because we're helping it happen.
Mexico's really in trouble. A lot of
Well, now that you're in, I suppose, because what are you going to do, bomb them?
trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to
At a future date pretty soon. Put that in your calendar, kids.
change because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Great. Call it whatever you want. It's the Gulf of Sparks, in case you were wondering. That was the original name. Feel free to at me. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Because it's, it's kind of like marriage and civil union, It's important to fight over the name of it. Still a body of water? Yep. Still international? Yep. Still, we have 150 miles or whatever, 100 miles off the coast around Florida and Louisiana and Alabama. But Mexico has about a similar thing, and then it's international in the center of it, And so, but can we, now, who will own the Sparks Triangle is my question.
Which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of
Yes, North America, South America, Central America, the Gulf. How about this? We settle on Gulf of the Americas. Wouldn't that be lovely?
America. What a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico.
Yeah, it is. Because it would be inappropriate to call it anything else. Like anybody gives a shit.
Has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop.
Yeah, they're not swimming, fuckhead. I'm just telling you. They're not coming across the Gulf.
Them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too, and the drugs
No, they really don't. They overstay their visas.
that are coming through are at record numbers. Record numbers.
No, they're catching record numbers. You let record numbers through. We're stopping record numbers right now.
So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs.
Otherwise, you wouldn't know, right? You wouldn't know unless you had a point of origin for the drugs that people are doing, and you could trace it chemically back to where you got it from. If some fentanyl's in Oklahoma, how do you know somebody didn't make it there and have a, you know, like a little pill mill someplace, and they're making their own fentanyl with the precursors that they got from, you know, all over the country, because they're all available in the United States, right? How do you know it's not a pill mill in Oklahoma that's cranking this shit out? You can't point of origin it. So the only way you know is if record numbers of it are being stopped.
In Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. And we want to get along with everybody, but you know they have to. It takes two to tango.
It does. I've heard that. I've often seen. I've watched three tango. It's not a pretty sight.
We're approaching the dawn of America's golden age. It's going to be a golden age for America.
Wouldn't we want the platinum age? Didn't we have a golden age? Right. We already had one of those.
We have things that nobody else has. We have more natural resources. We have number one. Nobody knew that until
Oil and gas and oil and gas. Right? We have oil and gas, right? You want us to be the Saudis. I get it.
I came along. I made us number one. We were number three. I made us number one in a very short period of time in drilling.
Who gives a shit if you're just drilling? You got to come up with something. Secondly, we weren't third in the world for production because we didn't have it and we didn't know we had it. It's because we're a little more protective of our environment. The Saudis have a desert. The Russians have a giant section of the country that's all fucking permafrost. Nobody gives a rat fuck what happens to the ground. Nobody lives around it. Nobody drinks the water from the area. In Saudi Arabia, there isn't any. where they do the vast majority of drilling. So it's not like they're going to ruin any of the land. It comes pre-ruined.
And you know, you can talk about windmills.
You're right, I can. I can sing about them.
Litter our country. They're
wheels in the sky keep on turning.
Littered all over our country, like dropping paper, like dropping garbage.
Yes, garbage paper, sure.
In a field, and that's what happens to them because in a period of time they turn to garbage. Most expensive energy ever. They only work if you.
Well, no, it's developmental. So the developmental phase, if you counted like all the attempts at a fossil fuel burning engine before it got to the functional car engine that we use today, you know, trillions of dollars, right? Very expensive. But if you pretend it all started when you were born, shit. Super cheap, right?
Get subsidy. The only people that want them are the people that are getting rich off windmills, getting massive subsidies from the.
Oh, you mean like Elon Musk and all of his subsidies? So you're going to cut those subsidies. That's good. I mean, I think the first thing DOJ should do is cut subsidies to electric car companies immediately. First in, last in, first out or something.
The U.S. government.
No, first in, first out. Yeah.
And it's the most expensive energy there is. It's many, many times more expensive than clean natural gas.
No, it isn't, because once it's running and you actually have it, then it's kind of permanent, relatively. Whereas you'll run out of gas at some point.
So we're going to try and have a.
Never mind the environmental costs.
Policy where no windmills are being built. You know, off the coast of New Jersey, they want to build like 200 windmills. The people are going crazy. Nobody wants them.
He's worried about his golf course.
And they're very expensive.
They want oil rigs. Yeah, they don't want these fucking ugly ass Dutch fucking windmills, these big white monstrosities that are all quiet. They want a giant oil rig that like macho. It's yellow and orange and gray, and it's got big shit pumps all over it, and everything's dripping, and there's rust everywhere, and it's just tough guys pulling chains and throwing things together, and they're slapping lube on things and shoving it up and down, and you know.
Expensive. They don't work without subsidy. You don't want energy that needs subsidy. Energy's.
You're right. All oil subsidies, all subsidies for oil companies, done tomorrow. I agree. Cut them off. Wait, no? No subsidies or tax breaks for. I mean, if you're going to do it for, you know, new energy sources, you should do it for the old ones, right? And thank God nuclear doesn't need subsidies before it gets off the ground.
It's a good business. You don't need subsidy. But when you build these massive towers, and they're 25 stories tall, 40 stories, they have one 70 stories tall.
Terrible. That's a lot of stories, and they all end the same.
The blades, they take 3 ships to ship them.
Ugh, terrible. 3 whole ships, and they have to go through the Panama Canal, and it costs like $1 million a piece. That's why it's so expensive.
It's crazy.
It is. Totally crazy.
They're dangerous. You see what's happening up in the Massachusetts area with the whales.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Did we show you? Can Boston Brian give us a whale crashing report? Where I understand all these. It turns out over New Jersey, those weren't drones at all. Those were nuclear whales jumping through the sky and landing on people.
Where they had 2 whales wash ashore in, I think, a 17-year period.
Uh-huh.
And now they had 14 this season. The windmills are driving the whales crazy.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe check for nuclear submarines or something off the coast and those kind of things. Maybe. All right. Yeah. Just let that. The windmills are driving the whales crazy. Maybe because they want to get close to them, and they're like super fun. They keep jumping through them, get bonked on the head.
Obviously. And they had
Obviously.
actually over, I think, 125 or something over a number of years. And
Yeah, I just sorry, little whale blubber.
we don't want that to happen. It's
No, we don't.
a disaster.
Is there a reason why they happen only in the Massachusetts ones, considering there are lots of them all over the place?
It's amazing the way a true environmentalist would say, oh, we love wind. It sounds good, but that's about where it ends. You know, after 10 years, you have to redo them. And what happens is they don't do that.
We love wind. We love wind. And when I say love, I mean we love wind. But that doesn't work. In 10 years, you got to replace it again.
let them stand and they rust, and they say, because of the environment, I'm not a believer in this, but they say you can't, because it's a certain fiberglass, that the blades cannot be buried in earth.
Yeah, they have to be, they have to be burned, otherwise they will come back to life and haunt the countryside, eating children and small pets. They can't be buried. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. Windmill blades can't be buried in earth. Let's see. Wind turbine blades can be recycled, but it rarely happens. I guess these blades need to be disposed of, and there's no way to recycle. That's how green energy works. Okay, it is true that decommissioned wind turbine blades are often thrown away in landfills. So, filling the land. What is land filled with? Something. Okay, the amount of recycling is minimal. Okay, wind blades are made from fiberglass bound together to epoxy resin, making them difficult to break down. While 90% of turbines are recyclable, the blades are not. Most blades end their lives in landfills or are incinerated. That's what he means. They just don't. They can be buried in the earth. They just don't break down like other trash. Like it fucking matters.
That's an environment. So what do you do with them?
I don't know. Stick them in the ground and make it look like they're giant white sharks coming up the countryside.
What do you do with them?
Make slides. Bend them into slides. Water parks.
And I don't know if you've ever gone to Palm Springs, California, or any.
I have. They got a little statue of Sonny Bono. They got a little bust of him in the airport.
These places where you have long-term windmills standing, they're a disaster. They're rusting, rotting, closed, falling down.
But that's true of almost everyone who lives in Palm Springs, though.
This is as you enter Palm Springs.
I see. I was always exiting. I'm kind of a Hotel California when it comes to Palm Springs.
and they put new ones next to them because nobody wants to take them down, because why should they take them down?
When they keep spinning?
It's very expensive to take them down, and you can't
Sure.
do anything with them because the blades, you can't bury them because of the environmental protection. We'll look at that. Doesn't make sense, but that's what they say.
No, they don't. Nobody says that.
So we are at the beginning of a great, beautiful golden age
Of dead windmills littering the landscape.
business. And I think we're also at a golden age of common sense, because everything
Yes. We're dragging the depths of common sense from turn of the century shit, the other century.
I'm saying to you, from a simple water faucet that doesn't allow water to come out
Force it
appropriately to
appropriately. Does it come out in a nasty way?
all of the other elements of what we do and what we're going to do,
Yes, all of the things, all the other elements.
to take 50 to 60 trillion dollars off our country's balance sheet.
Yeah, but again, the cost long term would be in life and livelihood of the American people. That money can be made elsewhere.
Because some man that has no idea what he's doing, has no idea.
Are you finally being self-effacing?
You know it. I know it. The Democrats know it. What they did is a crime by allowing that to happen. And I'll bet you, if you asked them today, how much acreage did you submit? Essentially, did you destroy? You destroyed the economic viability of drilling in the ocean.
Of drilling in the ocean and getting your bit all wet. What do you go, oh my God, I've cut off people from making money from the whole ocean?
And with AI coming along and all, a lot of people don't realize that AI is going to be a big thing, but
Yeah, you're right. No idea.
you'll need double the electricity at least that we have right now. So right now we produce electricity
No, you won't.
for many, many different.
No, you won't. No, you won't. There's certain AI elements where there's constant training, but once you reach a training point with a lot of these, they'll be low res devices. Fuck, man. Do I have to go get my... I do, don't I? Okay. So, I made so as many of you know that I put, this is a Raspberry Pi. This is a 5. This guy right here. Oh no, this is the 4. So this is the 4. I'm making a smaller one, so I didn't need the 5. 5's busy doing something else. And then I got this little 5-inch display that is a touch display. See that? So that I can create a device. This is what I'm working on in my spare time because I'm a lunatic. Nobody knew AI was going to be a thing. You take this little fella right here, and we'll line it up right there. We'll just seat it right on that little guy right there. See that? Pop that right in there. Okay, and that will sit on top of there. Now I'll put a support on underneath here to make sure this corner stays up, and probably 3D print a case for it ultimately. But this will be a little device that I can interact with the computer that's in here, either via keyboard and mouse, and see stuff on here, or as a touch screen, and make a small AI device about this big, and maybe install it into my C3PO my R2D2 that I have. Just build the body, take the top off, put the body down in here, run an Arduino to control the servos that are in that. Still bored? You with me? Nobody knew AI was going to be a thing. People don't even know how this works. And you can't get rid of these things because once they're here to stay. For real though, this is like, once you have a large language model trained, you can download it onto one of these things. A device about this big. Maybe you might, like, I use an SD card right here. There's a little SD card holder right there. But you can hook this up to a small SSD drive, like a solid state drive. I guess I shouldn't say drive twice. An SSD. And it'll hold like maybe a terabyte would be plenty, honestly. And you could build a model, download it on there, run it off of this thing, and this is it. And it's about 25 watts tops, even with all the peripherals running. You can bury them in the soil, but they will come back to life on a full moon, and you can't feed them after midnight or get them wet. And if you play your cards right, you shouldn't have to. But yeah, oh, and so just wanted to show you this. This is me nerding out. Can I show you something? Let me move this out of the way. So I'm trying to organize all my little peripherally things that you can attach. This is like if you want a little keypad that you can attach to this thing and build into something. But there's like a little screen for, having, if something comes up and gives you data, and messages to a ribbon cable to attach it. And then I have a bunch of these other the audio hat and the AI eyeball hat, which attaches to a camera. I lost you, didn't I? Sorry. I got too nerdy too quickly. I apologize. It will happen again. But the point I'm trying to make is that training AI's a lot of need for energy. Big cloud systems require a lot of energy, like storing all your shit on Facebook and processing data for the DOD and stuff. These are enormous, power draws. Trump, he doesn't have any concept of how any of this shit works. But like, even when he's around Elon Musk just wants to build the biggest XAI bullshit site that he wants. But once it's trained, who gives a shit? It'll be you technically should be able to put it on a chip about this big. So he's fucking dumb. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Most of us, my point is that giant companies who are growing AI and building these AI structures will use a lot of energy. But everybody who has AI in stuff, the Internet of Things and in your phone and all that shit, it's not going to draw a lot of energy equal to what fucking Meta is pulling down or some shit.
AI is a very big deal.
It is. It's a big deal. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells like rich mahogany. I'm sorry.
In terms of the future.
It isn't. It's not really big in terms of the past. You're right. AI, in terms of human history, hasn't really made that much of an impact up until the last couple of years.
China is already building electric facilities, big, bold electric facilities. And
yes, fabulous ones, like RuPaul level bold.
You know how they're being fired up with coal?
Right. Yeah, have you ever been, hang out in one of their cities, dum-dum? Have you ever, seriously, maggots, please, for fuck's sake, watch the China show, and especially when they show you the haze. Hey, does anybody know that London fog coats had nothing to do with fog? So, let's see. How combination? So remember the jackets, the London fog, the jackets, the coats, the long jackets they would wear. Okay, the trench coats. That wasn't really fog. The vast majority of it was air pollution during the industrial, at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution to 1960. Londoners, after all, were used to dense fog, sometimes so thick they called them pea supers. Adorable. But this fog was unprecedented. By the second day, it had reduced visibility in some places to nil. Car traffic slowed to a walking pace. Thugs emerged from the fog to steal women's handbags. Disoriented mallard flew into a pedestrian. That's these terrible mallards flying into pedestrians. We can't let this go on. It was London smog. That's right. Beijing air quality. This is Beijing suffers most severe pollution in more than 5 months. They've been trying to fight it off. The air gets this fucked up hazy color, this grayish brown, like LA back in the 90s. So Here's how smart Xi Jinping is and how smart Donald Trump thinks he is. Okay, so the Chinese decided, the CCP in particular, decided that they were going to turn Beijing not just into the political hub of the country, but an industrial one as well, because they wanted to kind of take some of the power from Shanghai and move it to Beijing so that they could have control over everything. And so they built the city in this idea of concentric rings that would get out further and further. And at one point they were like, okay, what we'll do is we've got all the, the government buildings and the city itself, and as we know it, and then we'll build this ring of like housing around it, and then outside that we'll build this big industrial ring of factories and and plants that will be around it, and all the people who work here can work here, and then they'll connect to the government, and this will be the central hub of economics and political capital in the fucking country. And what happens when you have highly polluting factories that send choking amounts of smoke in the air all the fucking time, and you surround a city that way? Well, what it means is no matter which way the wind blows, it's blowing shit in your direction. That's what it means. It means you never get a break. If the wind's blowing east, you're getting it from the west. If the wind is blowing west, you're getting it from the east. It doesn't matter. If the wind swirls around and moves back and forth and there's inclement weather going this way, it all pushes your way. It doesn't matter. You're like surrounded by a smoke ring. It's fucking stupid. Does that sound like something you would do if you were thinking ahead at all? Now, why has the air gotten better in Beijing? Is it because they learned their lesson and fixed it? No. It's because a bunch of those factories went out of fucking business. The economy collapsed. And those people moved to Shenzhen and other places where they could get cheaper, where they could get cheaper labor. And Beijing was worried about the number of like slave Uyghur-like labor that was being used there. They'd rather it be down in Shenzhen because they can at least phone ahead if Westerners are going to come visit and see what's going on there. Whereas they're always coming to and from Beijing. And it'd be really shitty if world leaders visiting the capital would roll through and go, wait a minute, where the fuck are those people being marched to? Fuck, he's stupid.
They're being fired up with coal, and we're going to build bigger and better ones. People like Hussein that are doing the same thing as he is. I'll bet they don't do it as well because I know how he does it, but they're doing a lot of things. The problem is they can't get their permits because I say build the plant with the building. So with the structure, build the plant.
Sorry. Every new factory these fuckers build or whatever the fuck they're doing, they get a free coal-firing power plant too? Who's going to build the plant? So wait a minute. You have companies? What the shit? You have companies that build like, I don't know, cloud service, server farm kind of buildings, and you want those same companies to build a coal plant and run it, or you want to make them build a fucking coal plant. Did he say Abdul? Or did he say Hussein?
They can't get their permits because I say build the plant with the building. So
that's fucking stupid. But so every new building gets a coal-firing plant with it. Fucking genius. Bye, West Virginia. It was nice knowing you guys. Some of you were finally making it through at least a half a fucking generation without, a third of the men in your area dying of fucking black lung. But that's over. Welcome back. Here comes the new boss, same as the old boss.
With the structure, build the plant, because if you go into the grids are old. So they said, that's a great idea.
No, it isn't. It's a stupid idea. What are you talking about?
In other words, build your electric facility alongside of your plant. And you could have extra output if you want, because once you build it, you can make it larger pretty inexpensively. You could have extra output, which you'll sell to the public.
So all these factories, these server farms, not even factories. So these industrial parks. This asshole doesn't just build server farms. The Hussein guy is doing, he's a luxury property guy. He builds hotels and fucking gated communities. So he's going to build a gated community with a coal plant attached? Shit. Okay.
Build it.
Yeah, good luck with those. That's way better than having a fucking windmill, because those things are ugly.
With the plant, and people are loving that idea.
Who? Please show one of them. Show me one guy who was like, great idea, boss.
So we're going to have a lot of fun making America great again, and it's going to happen, I think, very, very quickly. It's already happened. So I would say
It's already happened during the Biden administration when they actually passed an infrastructure bill and actually passed the Chips and Science Act and actually passed a rescue package and actually forgave a bunch of student loans and actually capped insulin at $35 instead of having a concept of doing it sometime 2 weeks in the future that extends on for decades.
and this has been pretty openly reported by the news. There's never been anything like what's happened in the list since we won the election. Couple of months since we won the election, the whole perception of the whole world is different.
No, it isn't.
People from other countries have called me. They said, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Biden was making it so hard for us to steal from the American worker and steal intellectual property and pollute and, put stuff in the food and water that causes cancer and stuff. But thank God you're back and you can get rid of some of those limitations he put on it.
Perception of the whole world is different. We're going to have to settle some big problems that are going on right now. We're going to have to.
What do you mean? We're going to have to. You settled it, right? Isn't it settled? It's been more than 24 hours since the fucking election, I think.
Settle up with Russia, Ukraine. That's a disaster. I look at numbers every week, the number of people being killed in that war. People don't know, mostly soldiers now.
Yeah, that's how most wars are. I mean, there's definitely situations where civilians get it, but yeah, in most wars, the single demographic that are getting it the worst are usually the people who are holding guns on the front lines. Yeah.
But the towns have been obliterated. This was a Biden fiasco that that should have never happened. If we had a real president, if we had a president that knew what he was doing, Russia would have never, ever gone in.
Really? What would you have responded with? Why wouldn't they? If they wanted it, why would they stop? What was going to happen to them? All the shit that did? Or were you going to nuke them?
But they did go in, and we have a mess. The cities are all blown up. The people.
We don't have a mess. You're the art of the deal, dude, baby. Figure it the fuck out.
People have largely left, and the soldiers are killing each other at levels that haven't been seen since the Second World War.
Well, actually, they have. It's just they're Europeans, I guess, is what you've been focused on. We've seen a lot of other areas where there's been ongoing fighting for a long time that's killed even more than that. This is just trench warfare, is what you mean.
So we'll have to get that one straightened out too.
What do you mean? You got it straightened out, right? You already sent your plan, and they rejected it. Shit. Well, sorry.
It's a tough one. Much tougher than it would have been before it started. I can tell.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I always find that fights are harder to break up after they've begun than before they've begun or even existed in the first place. Yeah. It's like cancer is always harder to treat after you get it. Super easy to treat when you don't have it, you know? It's just and that's common sense.
Tell you that. A deal could have been made just by an average deal maker. Deal could have been made on that. So thank you all for coming.
What deal? What was the deal?
We'll take a couple of questions. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit of
No, I cannot assure them of that.
what your
I might invade the Panama Canal, and I might sanction Greenland and stop all the shipments of green coming our way.
plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this.
I can't assure you I'm not going to invade either or use economic threats.
Need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military.
No, it wasn't.
I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is
Yeah, he's going to seize the Panama Canal. He's not going to seize the Panama Canal.
vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal.
No, nobody gave a shit about a deal that was going to happen in 1999.
But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because, you know, it's inappropriate, I guess, but...
Sure it is. It's inappropriate. Why? Because he's dead and you know it? And he's lying in state, so you're being an asshole?
Because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy, but...
Yeah, he's just being a shit. He doesn't care. He's just being an asshole.
He was a good man. Look, he was a good man. I knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person, but that was a big mistake. Giving the Panama Canal to Panama was a very big mistake. We lost 38,000 people. It cost us the equivalent of $1 trillion, maybe more than that. Probably the most expensive, they say it was the most expensive structure, if we call it a structure, which I guess you can, ever built.
I would call it a structure. You know what? Maybe I wouldn't. Would I call it a structure? Sure. But I just go with thing. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. Big structured thing. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Structure, ditch structure. Big ditch structure. That's common sense.
And giving that away was a horrible thing. And I believe that's why Jimmy Carter lost the election.
No, he didn't. Nobody gave a rat fuck.
Even more so than the hostages.
The hostages?
It's those two things.
Follow up on Ukraine and Iran, the two negotiations you'll be heading into. On Ukraine, you said just before it's a lot more complicated now.
Much more complicated.
Do you believe...
Because it would have never started.
Right, but it has started.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, not only started, the cities are largely knocked down.
So you've got what you've got. At this point, to hold on to leverage in dealing with President Putin, would you make a commitment to the Ukrainians that you will keep supporting them during the negotiations?
Well, I wouldn't tell you if that were the
would
case.
you make a commitment to provide a security guarantee if they do enter into an armistice or a ceasefire along the lines that the French and the Germans?
I'm not going to tell you anything because I haven't thought any of this shit through. If I tell you, you'll know I don't know what I'm talking about. But if I say I'm not going to tell you, I get points from my side for being mysterious and a great deal maker. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. Meets also the maggots will realize that I have no idea what actually, you know, that everything I would think up somebody else has thought up before, and mine's just a dumber version of that. And also I'm on Putin's side, so he'll get mad at me.
So
if I talk about the deal, I have to talk about what they might get, and he doesn't want them to get anything, so I'll get a nasty phone call.
you know, a big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that. That's been, like, written in stone.
No, it wasn't. Actually, in 1997, NATO and Russia formed the NATO-Russia founding agreement, which allowed for Ukraine to join NATO if it wanted to, as did all the Baltic states, all the former satellite countries of Russia. If they want to join, they can. If they don't have to. That's 1997. Written on paper, actually.
And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that.
Yeah, us. What are we going to do? They should be afraid we're going to attack them.
But there were a lot of mistakes.
They have Finland's right on their fucking doorstep. That's closer to St. Petersburg, arguably within missile range of Moscow just as much as anything else. It just would block missiles coming to the United States. You don't give a fuck. Whereas Ukraine would block missiles if they had a missile defense system that would be going into Europe. And that's why Russia doesn't want them there.
Made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That.
Hold on. What the fuck? You're going to end up in a war? No, you didn't.
War could escalate to be much worse than it is.
Yeah, totally. Any day now. We're already in World War III, and we're on the verge of it, and also in the middle of it, if you really think about it. But don't think about it, because we're probably already there. It's probably already over.
Right now.
They can never join NATO.
Well, my view is that it was always understood. In fact, I believe that they had a deal, and then Biden broke it. They had a deal which would have been a satisfactory deal to Ukraine and everybody else, but that Biden said, no, you have to be able to join NATO. And that's always been, and nobody knows more about NATO than I. You know, years ago, when I first started this, I didn't know too much about NATO, but I got it right anyway. I said they're taking advantage. I'm the one that got, and the Secretary General.
No, you're trying to threaten them so that they wouldn't be able to meet it, because after 2008, a lot of them were still recovering and they weren't putting 2% of their military spending into NATO. And so you threatened them because you thought it would fall apart. And they called your fucking bluff. They called your bluff. You thought that would capsize it. Russia thought this would too. That if you said this and America seemed wobbly and you demanded something of them that they weren't willing to commit, that it would fall apart. And then Russia would move while NATO was on its heels. And NATO went, wait a second, you're owned by Russia. We know exactly what the fuck you're up to. And they committed. They put more money in, which scuttled the whole fucking plan. You don't get points for them calling your bluff.
Was here, as you know, 2 weeks ago, saying that if it weren't for me, NATO wouldn't even exist right now, because I raised from countries that weren't paying their bills. At that time, 28 countries, 20 of them were not paying their bills, 21 to be exact.
Also, what bills, motherfucker? They don't pay us.
They weren't paying, or they were paying a very small portion. And I raised over $680 billion. That was
No, you didn't. He acts like this is tariff money.
the number he gave, by saying, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
No, they realized you were probably going to walk away, so they decided to fill the gap because Russia's that big a threat. And they figured Putin had his hand up your ass, and they were right.
And as soon as I said that, the money came pouring in. But Obama could have said it. Other people.
He didn't have to say it because they could trust us. And he was also right at recovering from 2008 like everybody else was.
People could have said it. Bush could have said it. Nobody said it but me. I took a lot of heat. They said, oh, that's a threatening statement. Well, they weren't paying their bills. I said, we're not going to protect you if you're not paying the bills. So, in a true sense.
What bill? I mean, I guess the next question is, what bill are you talking about? What do you mean bill? You're not paying your bills. What do you mean you paid up? What does that mean to you? Explain it. In layman's terms, where was the money coming from and where was it supposed to be going? Who writes the bill? Did we write them an invoice and they refused to pay it? Can somebody just fucking ask him that question? Can somebody go, what are you talking about? Pay your bills. Oy.
Since I saved NATO, but NATO's taken advantage of us. And one of the problems that I have, and I've said it openly, I said it to President Zelensky, Europe is in for a tiny fraction of the money that we're in. Now, whether you like that situation or not, Europe is much more affected than the United States. We have a thing called the ocean in between us, right?
Yeah, fuck them. Yeah, this is the argument against, look, I understand Jews are being rounded up in Germany and taken to Poland and killed, but, it's not like they can come over here, Pearl Harbor.
Why are we in for billions and billions of dollars more money than Europe? And,
Because Ukraine has the potential for having an economy bigger than Germany's and being a better ally to us than Germany has been in Europe. We would singularly have the highest economically producing country in Europe as effectively our most powerful ally in the region, period, bar none. That's why.
They're a similar size, a little smaller, but they're a similar size economy as the United States when you add them up. And yet Europe is in for a small fraction of the number the United States is in. Now, Biden could have called them up during the term. That's what I did. I said, you have to pay your bills. And they all, one stood up. I won't say who. You'll probably have it because
are you sure you wouldn't defend us? And I said no, and we've heard this story before.
Media hate.
Yes, you do hear a cat. I think that's Murph outside. Hold on. Murph? What are you doing? I don't know where he went. I heard him too. Wait, you're not in the closet, are you? Sometimes he gets in the closet and then he gets locked in. Nope. I heard him. I think it was Murphy.
Needed to report on it, but a prime minister stood up from a country, you know, a famous meeting of 28 nations with no press, no anybody in the room. He stood up, he says, does that mean if we don't pay our bill, and at that point it was 2%, it should be 5%, it should be 5%, not 2%, but at that point it was 2%, but many people didn't pay. Some people didn't pay anything.
So 5%, so that for military-industrial complex reasons, is that
But
why?
many people were way, including Germany. Germany was at less than 1%.
Right. Ukraine is a better ally than Germany.
You're going to press for 5%.
Well, I think NATO should have 5%, yeah. Well, you can't do it at 2. I mean, at 2%, every country, if you're going to have a country in a regular military, you're at 4%. I think they should be, you know, they're in dangerous territory. I think it should be, they can all afford it, but they should be at 5%, not 2%. I'm the one that got them to pay 2%. But a gentleman stood up, a prime minister stood up, and he said to me, sir, could I ask you a question? You're saying we have to pay our
Same
bills.
bullshit.
If we don't pay our bills, will the United States protect us from Russia? I said, if you don't pay, you mean you're delinquent? He said, yes. He said, if you're delinquent, we will not protect you. I took a lot of heat.
Yeah, and that's why they started throwing the money in. It wasn't because they owed us fucking money. It was because they literally lost faith that America would back them. And that's when Russia started its plan to attack Ukraine. That's when the plan started. And then he lost the election, and they had to punt a year because of the weather, essentially. Because there was no, like, when their window of attack was going to be, they had to move it because they like Biden would have reacted the way he did. He was like, yeah, no. Like, as soon as he came into office, they'd be like, fuck this. We're sending Ukraine everything they need. NATO would have jumped in because Biden had won. Now, you know, like if Trump had won, Russia would have just walked right through Kyiv in a matter of days.
Although it was somewhat closed door, I took a lot of heat from the media. And you know what happened? The money started pouring in. That's why NATO has money. And the Secretary General said it was the most incredible thing he had ever seen in a negotiation. Now, if I would have said, yes, we will, nobody would have paid. If I would have loved to say, yes, we'll protect you even if you don't pay. But that's not the way life works.
Mr. President, 2 questions related to each other. First, you said on your first day of office, you're going to pardon January 6th defendants. Are you planning to pardon those who were charged with violent offenses?
Well, we're looking at it, and we have other people in there. And as you see, I guess 24 or 28 people came now from the FBI. That came out very quietly. Nobody reported it, but they had people in some form related to the FBI. They had 4 or 5 people that were strongly related to the FBI. We have to find out about that.
Informants, motherfucker. They didn't have FBI agents in there strongly related to the FBI. What, did they have a cousin?
We have to find out about Hezbollah. We have to find out about who exactly was in that whole thing, because people...
Wait a minute. Sorry. January 6th was now... fuck Antifa. It's now Hezbollah. Hezbollah. These people... So, sorry. Maggots were tricked into attacking the Capitol by Hezbollah now.
People that did some bad things were not prosecuted. You know, I see it all...
Wait, sorry. There were Hezbollah operatives that attacked the Capitol that day as well and weren't prosecuted? What?
The time, and you see it too. People...
No, nobody sees it. Nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
People that were doing some bad things weren't prosecuted, and people that didn't even walk into the building are in jail right now. So we'll be looking at the...
No. And some people, by the way, yes, for coordinating. But, yeah, those people organized a bunch of people who showed up there to beat up cops and paid for it. That's the RICO ones. He means the Proud Boys guy. That's his stand back and stand by wink and a nod.
The whole thing, but I'll be making major pardons, yes, please.
I'll be making major pardons, yes. Yes, the violent ones. So they can go home and kill their relatives who turned them in.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Please.
On Jack Smith's report.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. It's good to see you again. 2 questions about Syria and the ongoing war in Gaza. About Syria, the Pentagon disclosed last month the U.S. has some 2,000 troops in Syria. That's almost double the number initially we were told of 900. Will you keep that troop capacity the same upon taking...
Well, I won't tell you that because that's part of a military strategy, but I will say it was Turkey. Turkey's been after that country in different names and different forms and shapes for 2,000
You mean the fucking Ottoman Empire?
years. Those people that went in are from Turkey. And President Erdogan is a friend of mine. He's a guy I like, respect. I think he respects
Like Putin. So this basically, Syria is Turkey's Ukraine.
me also. He's the one that didn't go after certain people after I requested that he not. You know who I'm talking about? The Kurds. I don't know how long that's going to, because they're natural enemies. They hate each other. But he didn't do that.
Natural enemies, like cobras and mongoose. Not ideological or racial enemies.
Yet, and he didn't do it in the past.
Just territorial resource war.
Also, he started, and I said, please don't do that, and he didn't do it. So,
Bullshit.
but if you look at what happened with Syria, Russia was weakened, Iran was weakened,
By who?
and he's a very smart guy, and he sent his people in there through different forms and different names, and they went in and they took over, and that's the way it is.
So the Syrian Democratic Forces are a Turkish proxy army, according to Trump. And that's the beginning of their negotiating point about what will happen to Syria after the fact. So basically, Syria gets divided between Turkey and Israel at this point. That's where we're going? Cool.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Do you have concerns about HTS taking control of...
By the way, I have the envoy here.
The envoy here? Envoy?
Is that in the back? It is. Standing with my son, Eric, is Steve Witkoff, who's just got back from the Middle East, and he's done a fantastic job. He's a great deal maker. I said, what we need there is a deal maker, because nobody makes a deal. We have people that understand where the rivers are and where the meets and bounds are, but they can't talk.
That's right. Where the meats are and the cold cuts are separated from the little pickles.
They can't make deals. Steve's
No, they can't make deals. Nobody makes a deal like Trump makes a deal, like between the Turks and not killing the Kurds temporarily.
done a great job. I just want to thank you, Steve. You've been working endlessly.
Hey, maybe, wait a second. Trump supports Turkish expansion. Cenk Uygur suddenly supports Trump. Nah.
For months, and he's working specifically on the hostages, trying to get them back.
In Syria?
Steve, come up for a second. Maybe you might want to say a couple of words.
Yeah, come up here. Fuck this up for me.
I didn't know Steve was going to be here, actually.
I didn't know where he is. I don't know who anybody is.
He's done a fantastic job. And it's a dangerous job, too, and we appreciate it. He didn't
Fantastically dangerous job.
know about this kind of danger and the other deal making he does. Now he sees a lot of big danger. Come on up, Steve.
Were you trying to get him killed so you can buy his property?
Second part of that.
It's very sad what happened to your husband, and of course the banks will be seizing all of your properties because somehow all of his IRS paperwork disappeared, and so guilty until proven innocent. Sorry, ma'am, but yeah, those are all Trump properties now. I don't know. Get fucked, I guess.
Hamas. Just one second. I'm going to give you a little report on the hostages, if I can, Steve.
Yeah, Steve, tell him what's up with the hostages, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wow.
I wasn't expecting to say anything about hostages right now. Oh, shit. Well, so far no good.
Well, I think we're making a lot of progress, and I don't want to say too much because I think they're doing a really good job back in Doha. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Who's they?
Back to go to Doha.
Who's they?
But I think that we've had some really great progress, and I'm really hopeful that by the inaugural, we'll have some good things to announce on behalf of the president. I actually believe that we're working.
What, are you trying to get him to keep the hostages until the inauguration so you can pull kind of like a reboot of Reagan?
In tandem in a really good way, but it's the president, his reputation, the things that he has said that are driving this negotiation, and so hopefully it'll all work out and we'll save some lives.
Gibberish, meaningless, blather, zero details.
I believe we've been on the verge of it. I don't.
Yeah, for a year.
Want to discuss sort of what's delayed it? There's no point to be.
That Yahya Sinwar is dead and there's no functional leadership of Hamas, and Islamic State has taken over the control structure of what's left of Hamas, and they've dug in and decided it's time to go to the other side and fuck all the civilians around them, and mean like that? Gee, I don't know where I got that from.
To be negative in any way, but I think it's the president, his stature, what he said he expects, the red lines he's put out there. That's driving this negotiation.
Yeah, they heard him say, I could get the Ukraine-Russia thing solved in 24 hours, and they decided, shit, we better get on our A game and negotiate something, or he's going to fuck us up like, oh, he did what? Oh, it has been, you're right, it has been more than 24 hours. I don't know, maybe he's full of shit. You want to get a burger, or?
I'm going back.
By the way, this is the guy who was golfing with him when the dude took a shot at him, or was going to shoot at him at the golf course. The shitty one south of the airport near the strip club and the gun store across from the elementary school. Yeah.
Probably either this evening or tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's a done deal. Or 2 weeks from now, or not at all.
Confident there'll be a deal before January 28th, or that's something that's likely to happen. If there's a deal even at all, we've been hearing this now for another part.
I know. I would say.
They better be.
Right. I would say that the president is exasperated. I don't want to talk for him, but look, I don't know anyone who delegates better than President Trump.
Right, he just gave the whole thing to me and told me to go solve it. Man, that's the art of delegation. You should write a new book. The whole thing about, like, I'm not going to do anything. Go fucking handle this. Brilliant.
He gives us a lot of authority to speak on his behalf, and
because he has no ideas of his own, and he can blame you later. That's why, motherfucker. Solve it is the recipe. And if you fuck up anything you said on his behalf or trying to get the deal done or whatever, it's your ass, dummy. That's how this works.
He exhorts us to speak emphatically. And emphatically means you better get it.
Yeah, talk loudly and carry a small stick that's shaped vaguely like a mushroom and only stays relatively stiff for under 3 minutes.
You better do this, because the alternative...
Do you think they're waiting?
The alternative's what? Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't interrupt him. What the fuck? Wait. Because the alternative what?
For President Trump to take office.
No, I think they heard him loud and clear. Better get done by the inaugural.
But when you say all hell will
Before
be
I
paid,
take office.
all hell must be paid
That's
if they
right.
don't release.
Yeah, hey, dum-dum. The inaugural is when you take office. So before the inaugural means before you take office. The inaugural is when you actually take your oath to be, fuck me.
Well, you know what that means, don't you? What, do I have to define it for you? Look, all
No, I know
hell
you're not
will
gonna
break out.
telegraph
If
what-
those hot
Break loose. All hell breaks loose. Not out. Loose. All hell's breaking loose. Great Kiss song. Go listen to it. All hell breaks loose. It doesn't break out. It's not a fucking pimple from hell.
hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Fuck does that mean? For real. What the fuck does that mean? In the Middle East, what are you gonna do? Bomb Qatar, you dumb fuck? In the Middle East, what are we gonna reinvade Iraq? If you guys don't release our hostages, we're gonna bomb all of Yemen, not just the Houthi parts, and fuck up everybody who looks vaguely brown for a 6,000-mile radius. Jesus Christ, this is so stupid.
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out.
For anyone, I agree. It won't be good for the Israelis. It won't be good for the Arab Israelis, the Jewish Israelis. It won't be good for the Jordanians. It'll be fucked for the Egyptians. It'll suck for the Qataris. Like, again, and all Hamas has to do on behalf of Iran is go, okay, fuck them. I don't like those people anyways. Hamas doesn't support Egypt. Hamas doesn't support Jordan. Shit, they barely support Hezbollah, but only because they're, the regions of Syria controlled by Hezbollah because Iran tells them to. ideologically, they be at each other's fucking throats. Technically, that Shia-Sunni division still exists, but they're strange bedfellows on this particular thing because everybody hates the Jews more. And the only thing, honest to God, the only thing he could be talking about, I think, is bombing Iran, is war with Iran. Nothing else even remotely makes sense, except for, I mean, the biggest obvious one is that it's all blustery bullshit.
I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given him back a long time. They should have.
It won't, like the most telling statement in this is not all hell will break out and blah, 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 is it won't be good for anyone.
And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. Well,
if they want to die and you're going to make other people's lives worse, fuck do they care? He will destroy them, destroying us. Cool.
I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given him back a long time. They should have never taken him.
Wow, Shazam, motherfucker.
There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was. And
right.
Many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel.
That's the other thing is they're going to get some fake bullshit message back, and he's going to make this dipshit carry it that says, actually, we gave you all the living hostages. The rest of them are dead. We don't have any Americans. We have some other people, but we don't have any Americans. All the Americans we had are dead. And he'll blame Biden for all the dead Americans who are probably still alive, and they'll have to be killed to cover for the fact that if they ever see the light of day, this will get out. You'd have to send in like a hit squad to kill everybody just so you don't look bad. But you can blame it on Biden. Look at all these people got killed under Biden.
And others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S.
So-called? Wait a minute. The Jan 6ers are hostages because they went through the U.S. court system and they're in a jail because they spit in a judge's face or threatened their own attorneys or refused even the lamest fucking plea deal. Those guys are hostages for real. Those are the Jan 6 hostages, not so-called, straight up calls them hostages. But the people who are caught by Hamas fighters, women dragged by their fucking hair, beaten and bleeding and raped, they're so-called hostages.
But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead.
Yeah, she was dead in the video. All those average Palestinians we heard so much about that separate themselves from Hamas. You can watch the video. They're all spitting on her corpse as they roll through town. She's bleeding from her crotch because of what happened to her before and during the time she died. They have her body back already. And depending on who he's talking to, because he mix and matches so much shit, I can't even tell if he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
20-year-old, beautiful girl, and the way they treated her. And I just say it this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person. They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know.
Hebrew or Farsi or what?
He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have sent that gentleman right over there, Hussein. He's a great negotiator. There are people, they're rare. Great negotiators are very rare, like a great surgeon.
Jesus Christ. No pressure, Witkoff, you dumb fuck.
But we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation.
But you don't care.
The deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks. All hell will break out.
Break loose, you shithead.
In the Middle East. Okay?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Also, in the Middle East, what are we talking about here? Are we going to bomb Cyprus? We're going to flatten the whole Levant?
Mr. President, more than 140 police officers were injured by rioters on January 6th. Will you pardon anyone who attacked a police officer?
Well, the only one that was killed was a beautiful young lady named Ashley Babbitt. She was killed, and there was actually somebody else that was killed, also a MAGA person, but people don't give it 100% credibility. I'm going to find out about it. We're going to find.
What do you mean, Roseanne Boylan, the woman that was on meth and had a fucking heart attack while she was being stomped by her fellow maggots who were only paused from beating up cops to hand her body over to them, hoping that they would be able to save her.
Find out, but Ashley Babbitt was killed. She was.
Yeah, she got a big dose of found out.
Shot.
Yep, for busting a window, punching a guy, and trying to crawl through as the first one through a window. Yeah. She would she have been shot if she wasn't in the building? Would she have been shot if she wasn't at the front of that crowd? Would she have been shot if she hadn't gone through the window first? There were a lot of other people who, were right behind her. None of them got shot because they all took that as lesson gained.
Should have never been shot.
Yeah, you're right. You should have never convinced her to go to the fucking Capitol and act like an asshole.
Was shot for no reason whatsoever.
She was trespassing. She was the first through a breached wall that was barricaded. There was the vice president and House personnel and House members who were beyond that. She had a knife in her bag. Shut the fuck up.
However, in fact, they say that she was trying to hold back the crowd, and the
bullshit. She wasn't trying to. She punched a dude in the fucking face so she could be the first one through the door. She wanted to kill somebody first.
Crowd was made up of a lot of different people, so we'll see. But I will tell you this.
What do you think? Hezbollah pushed her through the fucking window?
The person that was killed was Ashley Babbitt. The other thing is.
Yeah. What? Who gives a shit? Hey, does anybody think that during like the BLM riots, if a bunch of police officers got beat during that or whatever, but one person got shot in that crowd, he'd be like, only person who died that night was a BLM activist who, was, carrying a flag and was just approaching the police, sure the flagpole was sharpened and he tried to stab him with it, but the only person that I know of who was shot was shot by the police just because they threw Molotov cocktails.
When they talk, there was never charges of insurrection or anything like that.
Yes, there were. People got charged with insurrection.
But if there were, this would be the only insurrection in history where people went in as insurrectionists with not one gun.
No, there were a bunch of guns.
Okay? And let me tell you, the people that you're talking about have a lot of guns in their home for hunting and for shooting and for...
Yeah, but it's Washington, D.C., and they recognize that if a bunch of them, started shooting all at once, then the response would be to open fire. There were lots of guns.
Entertainment, a lot of good reasons. But there wasn't...
Entertainment. They have guns for entertainment,
One gun that they found.
Yes, they were. Literally footage of a guy firing his gun into the air, like on one of the scaffolds.
And why didn't they find the bomber, the pipe bomber? They know who the pipe bomber is. The FBI.
Yeah, obviously they know. So as soon as you get in, you tell us. If they know, you'll know. You're shit. You go there right now. Go ahead and take your loyalty oath, which is your pre-presidency clearance oath, and go look. Let everybody know.
The guy knows who it is.
Yeah, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, pretty much, right? That's the thought. That's what he thinks.
The status of the FBI has gone down so far, and the status of the DOJ, or as I call it, the Department of Justice.
Justice.
It's the Department of Injustice. It's being laughed at all over the world.
Not really. Only for not throwing you in jail, I think. Yeah, I think they're laughing to some degree at America because Merrick Garland slow-walked it, and he should have busted you, 2 years ago when we wouldn't be in this situation.
And hopefully with Pam Bondi and with Kash Patel and with other people that we're putting in, that will all come back.
It'll all come back.
If you do a poll in the FBI, I guarantee I'm at like 90% with the agents of the FBI, but they have hurt that incredible.
Why would 90% of the FBI like a guy who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for over 2.5 decades? Why would they go, yeah, totally, huge fan. Why would anybody in law enforcement? Why would they be okay with that? You can like policies or something. You can go, yeah, we need something, we need this stuff, whatever. But the fucking guy is a monster. It's gross. I mean, if you were a real Republican, I guess you would go, I wish we had somebody who would do these policies who wasn't a fucking predator. I don't like it, but, you know, I'm afraid of the stampeding border or whatever, and therefore, right?
Place law enforcement. I mean, you think of the FBI. They raided this house. By the way, they could
This house is clear. You don't live in Mar-a-Lago. It's a rental.
have told me, could I see this? I would have given them. I actually
No, you did for like a year.
told them, come in anytime you want.
And they did. What's the problem?
You can see anything. They raided the house, and the case was dismissed.
Yeah, by Eileen Cannon, based on the idea that she doesn't believe it's legal to have independent counsels, not because of the merits of the case, dum-dum.
And now I'm in litigation. I'm suing them for doing that.
Please do, because the discovery will be fucking magic.
And I feel so badly doing it. I'm the president of the United States, and I'm suing the United States, but I'm suing them for other things,
Please do.
too. The FBI has gone so, its reputation has been so horribly hurt between Comey, who is the worst, and
Yeah, he's the reason you won the first time.
all of the others. What's happened to
You mean the guy you put in?
the FBI is, and we're going to make it great again. We're going to make the FBI great again. We're going to make the Department of Justice fair and strong, but fair again, because all they did was attack
What's unfair about it?
me because I'm their political opponent, and that includes with local judges like Marchand. You ought to find out.
Why would that have to do with the FBI?
Ask them, why do I have a gag order where I'm not allowed to speak? Think of it.
Why do you even need to speak about those details? What difference does it make? It's not tried in the streets anyways. I mean, the only reason I can think of that you would want to talk about the details of the case in the public, beyond your own innocence, which you're allowed to do. You can talk about the merits of the case in terms of the paperwork you have. You can explain your accounting practices. Nobody's fucking stopping you. But there, you can't talk about some of the people because they're concerned that some of your maggot asshole friends will try to kill them. That would be it. I think that's pretty much why. Because other people can't get people killed just by talking about the case. Same reason mobsters often get gag orders.
I'm the president of the United States, and I'm not allowed to speak.
No, you're not allowed to like dox people or threaten them, I think.
Why?
Because the rules are the same for everybody?
Because if I did speak, people would understand the scam. It's a scam. And we have very dishonest judges, and New York judges are very bad. We had one that valued this house at $18 million because it was good for their case. He actually valued that chandelier is worth more than $18 million.
Yeah, but you can't do anything with it. It can make $18 million a year. That's the max it can bring in. But you can't sell it as this site, as Mar-a-Lago, because they have to leave it as such. And other people would not be able to buy it for $1 billion and turn it into something unless they want to make back that money over 25 fucking years by making $18 million a year. Nobody's going to spend $1.5 billion to make $18 million a year net on memberships and renting out a fucking event space unless they can bulldoze the fucking thing and turn it into something else. And if you do that, then it's going to cost you more and it's not worth it.
He valued this house as $18 million.
Yeah, then sell it for parts. Show them you're wrong and then try to sell the property and make them keep it Mar-a-Lago and you won't.
And we have another one who was so nasty, so horrible, such a brute.
Oh, but was it hard? Were your fifis hurt?
Most vicious, vile person.
Oh, it's vicious and vile? Both?
These are New York judges.
Oh, they were New York. Oh, New York is usually so nice.
But we've won most of the cases, so we're
No, you haven't.
very happy about that. Please.
Back on Greenland. Your position is clear, but have you directed your staff to take specific action to drop plans? And can you elaborate again? You didn't rule out military coercion.
Well, we need Greenland for national security purposes. I've been told that for a long time, long before.
Why don't we just have a treaty with them and put a base there? Who cares?
I even ran. I mean, people have been talking about it for a long time.
No, they haven't.
You have approximately 45,000 people there. People really don't even know if Denmark has any legal right to it. But if they do,
Yeah, they do.
they should give it up because we need it for national security. That's for
Why? We can't trust Denmark? Are they going to throw their weight behind Russia?
the free world. I'm talking about protecting the free world.
From who? From Denmark?
You look at, you don't even need binoculars. You look outside, you have China ships all over the place.
You have China ships all over the place.
You have Russian
Where are they coming from?
ships all over the place.
Russian ships, I guess maybe make a little bit more sense, but no.
We're not letting that happen. We're not letting it happen.
Apparently we are.
And if Denmark wants to get to a conclusion, but nobody knows if they even have any right, title, or interest. The people are going to probably vote for independence or to come into the United States. But if they did do that, then I would tariff Denmark at a very high level.
Sorry. If the people of Greenland voted to separate from Denmark on their own and wanted to be part of the United States, you would retaliate against Denmark for letting it happen.
Does your staff to draw plans for acquisition? I mean, are you acting?
No, we're not at that stage, but we have people. I haven't even entered office yet.
I thought you could do this in like 24 hours. It's a concept of a bullshit.
Secondly, sir,
It's a concept of a turd.
Elon Musk has drawn some criticism and a lot of attention for some of his actions and provocative statements about foreign affairs, including in Europe. Your reaction to that, is that appropriate for
You mean where he likes people that tended to be conservative? I don't know the people. I can say Elon.
Conservative. Yes, he tends to like people who are conservative, like the AFP, basically the neo-Nazi party in Germany.
He's doing a good job, very smart guy. I don't know the people you're talking about.
Maybe you should find out then. I mean, you are his vice president.
He was, I know he said some negative things about a couple of people that are running for office, but
Yeah, that's all. He just said a couple of negative things about a couple of people that are running for office. He also supported a neo-Nazi party, which is not a negative thing per se that you're saying. It's a positive. He said a few positive things about some neo-Nazis.
that's not so unusual. Yes, please.
Yeah, you're right. It's not unusual.
I wanted to ask you about Ukraine and Putin. How soon do you anticipate going to meet with Putin to discuss the Ukraine situation?
Yeah, and will you follow your doctor's orders and only eat bland food leading up to that meeting?
Well, I can't tell you that, but I know that Putin would like to meet. I don't think it's appropriate that I meet until after the 20th, which I hate, because, every day many young people are being killed, soldiers.
And some of them old.
The land is very flat.
It is. It's flat. That's true. And so if you fire a bullet, it just keeps traveling until it hits a person because gravity doesn't exist in that part of the world.
And hundreds of thousands of soldiers many hundreds of thousands from each side are dead. And they're laying in fields all over the place. Nobody to even collect. There's landmines all over. It's a disaster. But it's very
Yeah, Russia doesn't pick up their dead anyways.
flat. It's great. It's farmland. And it's very,
Sure.
very, very flat. And the only thing that stops a bullet is the human body.
Or I guess, gravity and dirt and yeah. You do realize bullets don't have infinite range. It's just so dumb.
And the human body is stopping a lot of bullets.
Well, good for it. Thanks, human body. For taking one for the team, literally.
I hope so, yeah. I hope to have 6 months. No, I hope long before 6 months. Look, Russia's losing a lot of young people, and so is Ukraine. And it should have never been started. That's a war that should have never happened. I guarantee you, if I were president,
Yeah, whatever. Who gives a shit, man? It's bullshit.
that war would have never happened.
That's a lie, and it's garbage, and he knows it. And he's right to some degree that a war wouldn't have happened. It would have been just, Russia would have just bulldozed and taken Ukraine in a matter of days because it would have had the tacit support of the American leader. That's why. what he's saying is the attack would have happened, but it wouldn't have turned into a war because Russia would have just won very quickly because we would not have been there to rally NATO and support Ukraine. That's what he means. Notice he never says the attack wouldn't have happened. Russia was already in Ukraine.
Who would you like to nominate to replace Michael Barr as vice chair of the Federal Reserve?
I'll be announcing somebody soon.
Mr. President, if we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada the 51st state of the United States.
No, fuck off with this. Stop asking about that bullshit. Stop. Ask him what he means by all hell breaks out. You know, he's not going to attack allied countries. If Hamas doesn't care if other countries around them get destroyed in the process and they're willing to, like, suicide bomb themselves, then what difference does it make about him threatening? And so does that mean all-out war with Iran then? Because that's the only power proxy, like the PowerPoint he can hit. Otherwise, he's just fighting proxies.
The leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no
Fucking Canada. Who gives a shit?
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't care.
You had suggested.
Listen, I don't care what he says.
Sir, real fast, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to...
Oh, shut the fuck up. He's not going to attack. We're not attacking Canada, fuckwad. Stop it. This is a question you're asking just because you want him to say something. He's so dumb. Sometimes he says stuff that makes like an, oh my God, he's going to attack Canada, which will eat a fucking headline for a while. Ask some real fucking questions about what he suggested. The only operative point he could do in the Middle East to attack Hamas further than what's happened in Gaza already, besides leveling the whole place, hostages and all, which he seems to be fine with. Nice work, uncommitted. Nice work, I guess, left-leaning Muslim towns in Michigan, right? The only option he has is to attack Iran. And if he says all hell will break out in the Middle East, what he means is we're going to invade Iran. That's all that can mean. Either we do it or Israel does it with our backing. That's the only thing it could mean. Hamas and IS don't give a shit. What are we going to do? Bomb the fucking West Bank? What are you talking about? That is the only option. And I don't want to hear shit about forever wars if this motherfucker is talking about starting a war with Iran for real. Which, I mean, again, would be seen by even, like, the most dyed-in-the-wool maggots as a proxy war with Russia. Because Iran and Russia can't decide whose puppet each is.
Annex and acquire.
No. Economic force. Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like. And it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada.
From what? From what?
But here's the problem with Canada.
I'm going to go with snow, eh?
So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great.
Apparently not.
But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it.
No, we're not. We're protecting us using parts of their territory.
We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada.
No, we're not. We're not. There's no, like, North Canada, South Canada, DMZ, we've got soldiers patrolling. What the fuck?
We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars.
That's what he's talking about. He's talking about trade deficits. Because Canada, while physically bigger, has a smaller economy. And so they fucking have tariffs against Wisconsin cheese because Wisconsin produces more dairy than all of Canada. And if they just let it, they're against the Nippon Steel, U.S. Steel deal because we have to be able to produce steel in the United States using steel plants here and steel workers. And that's important and all this. Okay, same thing is true of foodstuffs everywhere in the world. And if you get swamped by your neighbor and then your neighbor gets in deep shit because they get involved in a war or a trade war or they run out of supplies because they're run by a dipshit, you don't have any way to like jumpstart your entire production of dairy and agricultural goods. You're fucked.
Cars, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber.
We have fields of lumber? They're just fields of lumber. Lumber? What is that what I said?
We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order.
No, you can't.
We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have.
He's so close.
We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more?
Because we have more money than they do, so we buy more things from everybody. They don't have an economy big enough to buy an equal amount of goods from us, stupid.
To protect Canada. And
again, we're not protecting them, we're protecting ourselves.
Said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers. And Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner.
Why would that be a subsidy?
But
fuck does that have to do with anything? I mean, again, a terrible example. Nowhere near the point.
No right. Nope. No right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast. Mm-hmm. But we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. No right. But why are we supporting a country, $200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down, I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function if we didn't take their 20% of our car market. They send us hundreds of thousands of cars. They make a lot of money with that. They send us a lot of other things that we don't need. We don't need their cars, and we don't need the other.
Well, if we don't need them, then why are we buying them? Apparently we do.
The products, we don't need their milk. We got a lot.
Again, this is all about the dairy shit.
A lot of milk. We got a lot of everything. And we don't need any of it. So I said to him, well, why are we doing it? He said, I don't really know. He was unable to answer the question.
I think he just didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. Hold on. Wait 1 second. I gotta, okay. Trump's more than 100 million or $100 billion a year. False, according to the United States government's foreign assistance website. The U.S. has not spent more than $35 million in a single fiscal year on financial assistance for Canada since 2001. In 2023, the U.S. trade deficit with Canada was $41 billion. Yeah, this number isn't anywhere near. And he's saying billion too. All these Snopes things say million. Trudeau says not a snowball's chance in hell Canada would become the 51st state. If we're subsidizing Canada and Mexico, let them become a state of the United States. This is his statement, I guess. Former in Mexico, but okay, this is just them kind of subsidizing, like creating his statement. Jesus. Yeah. 100 million, 100 billion, just false. We have a $34 billion trade deficit. This is fucking nothing.
But I can answer it. We're doing it because of habit. And we're doing it.
Yeah, it's just habit. Yeah, the Republicans, doesn't matter who's in office, we just habitually give money to Canada because we're just, you know what? It's just, we're just habitually sweet.
Because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors. But we can't do it forever, and it's a tremendous amount of money.
It's a fictional amount of money.
And why should we have a $200 billion deficit? And
we don't. We have a $34 billion deficit. And again, it's a smaller country. They could never catch up with us in what we can buy from them and equalize it because there's just no fucking way. Any country smaller than us, more than likely, is going to have a trade deficit unless they have some sort of primary good that we just cannot live without and that we get from someplace. I mean, you could argue that, I don't know, maybe South Korea or something like that, or Japan. There's a potential where we need chips or electronics from them so badly that we can't equal it out. And so it's like, 1-to-1. Like they need food and we need chips, so it's almost even though they're much smaller. God, this is dumb.
Add on to that many, many other things that we give them in terms of subsidy.
We don't. Like what? Name one thing. Add on to it, but give me one.
And I said, that's okay to have if you're a state. But if you're another country, we don't want to have it. We're not going to have it with European Union either. European Union, we have a trade deficit of $350 billion.
Right, because we have the biggest economy in the world by far. We buy more shit from them, period. The European Union is a loose collection of countries, but they unlike the United States, which is a united group like the European Union, we all speak fairly close the same language and have a unified constitution that we all operate under. Our legal system is the same, state to state. The European Union is not. They hash some shit out, and they have the euro, but that's for like inter-country trade between them, largely, just to smooth it out instead of having 35 different, or I guess 32 different, 31 now because the Brits have gone back to the pound, different currencies.
They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm product.
They buy our, yes they do. They just don't buy as much because they're smaller than us.
They don't take anything.
Yes they do. Believe me, I filmed Queer as Folk up there for 6 years. They take a lot. What?
And so we're not going to have it with them either. Brian, go ahead.
Yes. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
We have some breaking news. You may not be aware of this, but it looks like Cannon has blocked the DOJ from releasing the Smith's report until further court proceedings. Get your thoughts on
Wow,
that.
that's a big story.
Yeah.
So
why block it? If you're innocent and it'll prove your innocence.
if I get it right,
You won't.
The fake witch hunt started by the DOJ having to do with books and records, and Biden had many more, and he wasn't protected by the Presidential Records Act.
Yes, he is, because Obama gave him the same classification, declassification powers as the president on the very first day he took office in 2009.
But all of that fake stuff that took the lives of people, I mean, literally destroyed people. People are destroyed because of what they did. Destroyed.
Such who? Walt?
But we got to be president.
We?
But Biden did it for 40 years. He did it when he was a senator. That was illegal. And they ruled it was illegal. How about that?
No, they didn't.
They said, it's illegal, but he's unfit to stand trial. So he can stand.
No, that's not what it said at all. I think the Her report, which is what he's talking about, stated that basically you couldn't prove he did it maliciously. It was just, staff did it or some stuff got stuffed in with things, but they couldn't prove it was intentional because so much time has passed and he's older. Her was like, he could just pretend to forget or say, I don't recall. And there's no way you could try him because there's no proof that he did it. He didn't take them and sell them. He didn't store them in an untoward place. Like none of that stuff. That's what it was. They're eating the dogs.
And be president of the United States. But the prosecutor found that he's unfit for trial. I was going to use that as a major talking point, but I never got to use it because all of a sudden I had a new candidate who was also sort of unfit to stand trial, right?
No.
But so what you're saying is that the judge just blocked So Cannon was thrown off the case. They
No, she wasn't.
dropped their appeal because he had no case.
Oh, I'm sorry. He thinks Jack Smith is Eileen Cannon now. Okay.
They dropped all of that, the lawsuits against us.
He obviously dropped his pronouns.
They lost the lawsuit. So this is deranged Jack Smith. So he dropped the lawsuits. He was told to by the DOJ because they had no lawsuit. They lost in court.
No, they didn't. They didn't lose in court at all. She just thought that the very, like, having an independent prosecutor was violated federal law, which we fought before and is unconstitutional, and if it went to the Supreme Court would get thrown out. But again, Merrick Garland helped you run out the clock.
In front of a very strong and a very brilliant judge. They lost in court.
Yeah, no, they didn't. None of it is not on the merits.
And that pertained to other cases in other courts.
No, it didn't.
So he wanted to do a report just before I take office, probably. Mm-hmm. So he'll do like a 500-page report, and it'll be a fake report, just like the investigation was a fake investigation.
Well, okay, then have him release it. Who gives a shit? Just make fun of it. You fucking post it on, have people read it on Rumble.
And I said, well, wait a minute. This guy was thrown off in disgrace. In disgrace. He's gone.
He wasn't disgraced at all. At all. This is weird.
Back to The Hague or wherever they're going to send him. In disgrace. Because he failed so badly.
No, he didn't. She ran interference for you. Nobody actually thinks it's so fucking weird.
Because it was a fake case against a political opponent. They thought.
Yeah, but he was appointed to do it. Even, I mean, he took the job, I guess is the most you could say about him, but he didn't concoct it himself.
They're going to use this to beat me. So what you're saying is I'm just hearing that they're not.
Okay, I'm just hearing this now, so whatever I say is total bullshit.
Not allowed to issue the report. So if they're not allowed to issue the report, that's the way it should be. Because he was thrown off the case in disgrace. Why should he be allowed to write a fake report? It'll only be.
I don't know. What have you got to be afraid of? If the report has details in it, you know, it'll probably prove just how amazingly innocent you are.
A fake report. That's great news. Yeah. Good.
And if I can just follow up real quickly, you want to comment? Many Americans are angry that we're sending millions of dollars every month to the Taliban. Do you anticipate?
It's not even believable.
Well, they're running Afghanistan thanks to this asshole, and the money isn't money directly to them. We're spending money getting like medicine and food that goes to Afghans. Just saying.
Billions of dollars, not millions, billions. We pay billions of dollars to essentially the Taliban, Afghanistan. And that's given by Biden. That's the same man that took away $50 to $60 trillion worth of value from the United States. Think of it. Probably our most valuable asset.
No, it's not. Oil is not our most valuable asset. Fuck you. The American people's ingenuity and hard work are. Eat shit. Go away. What's wrong with you? How is this America first? Stop shitting on America, asshole, in front of two flags.
Took away our most valuable asset.
No. Again, the ingenuity and hard work of the American people is our most valuable asset. Human life.
This can't be allowed to happen. We are now a nation of common sense.
Okay. So commonly you would say that this money is going where?
When he does that, 625 million acres, this can't be allowed to happen. Thank you for the information. Yes, sir. Most other people probably knew about it, but they wouldn't have told me, right?
Shouldn't you know? Your lawyers should have told you. It's your fucking case.
In the campaign trail, you vowed to bring down the prices at grocery stores very fast.
Yeah, we will do it fast.
You recently told Time Magazine that bringing down prices would be very hard. So what can the American people expect when you get into office?
It's always hard to bring down prices when somebody else has screwed something up like they did, but we'll bring them down. We'll get them down. Energy is going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy, and energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what.
And their bad spending on stupid things like infrastructure.
Brought it up, and energy is going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon.
Oh yeah, bacon's coming right down. They're making pigs at Mar-a-Lago, like as he speaks.
Ham
and bacon.
Apples. Everything is gone.
Bacon, apples, everything that you see in an old picture from the 40s of a giant meal.
Through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won.
Bacon and apples, ham. Maybe. Well, doesn't the pig come with one apple at least in its mouth? I mean, that's a free apple right there. I mean,
So as you know, I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won, but I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that
racism.
They are allowing prisoners to come into our country. They release their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our cities and farmland all over, murdered.
Just walking around murdering weeds.
People that have killed, many, 32% have killed more than one person. They release them from
32% of who?
From their jails.
Sorry, 32% of illegal migrants have killed at least one person?
Prisons and their mental
or what?
Mental institutions and insane asylums into our country.
Well, they may be nuts, but murder is very effective. There's murderers and travelers. They got to get it down.
That's the reason we got such a large vote. All right, maybe one or two more questions. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead, Coey. You go. You have to ask.
Can you? President Carter is laying in state today in Washington. You had some harsh words for him about the Panama Canal. Is there any disconnect there? Do you feel a little bit bad about doing that on this day?
No, I liked him as a man. I disagreed with his policy. So, hey, he thought giving away the Panama Canal was a good thing. I think it cost him the election. That and the hostages. I actually think that was a bigger...
Yeah, this is so stupid. Who cares what the fuck you think?
...factor, because that's a deal that just should not have been made. But, again, this was a question that was asked of me. I didn't bring it up. I didn't want to bring up the Panama Canal because of Jimmy Carter's death, but people don't bring it up. But you and other people have asked me about it. No,
right? Yes, because you brought it up, they asked you about what you said about it, and now it's their fault for bringing it up.
It's a deal that I was very strongly against. I was a young guy when this took place, but
yeah, it was one of his first op-eds. Why aren't we throwing more black kids in jail? And what's this Panama Canal shit?
Just why would we spend all of that money? Lose 38,000 people to malaria, the mosquito.
I don't know, maybe you don't want to hang around in an area where the malaria and the mosquito is so bad you could continue to lose tens of thousands of people when you could just have a management contract.
They were dying. It was horrible.
Because you built it through their country. You literally cut their country in half.
Horrible what was happening. They paid them 4 times more than they would make in the United States, but they knew they were going to go over there and die. And
really? And it was worth it. Like, all right, I'll die, but it better be for a good amount of money. I want to die 4 times as rich as I would have died in the same circumstance and a period of time.
They died in the jungles of malaria. There was nothing we could do to...
Are there jungles in malaria? I haven't been there, but I understand. I think it's probably they all been burned to the ground now and used for farmland.
It's up at 30th, and then we gave it away.
I'm fairly certain this motherfucker thinks malaria is a country.
For $1.
Congress, sir. About getting your agenda through Congress, you appeared to open the door in your radio interview yesterday for 2 bill approaches. It's still your preference for one big, beautiful bill, as you said.
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always...
Yeah. Hey, Chip Roy and all you assholes. We're not going to cut this up. We're going to divide it up into other pieces. Nah, fuck you. It's going to be one giant bill. I want a giant omnibus. Everybody on board. All of you sign it all at once. None of this working things through, saving money by going through different sections. We're not going to have 12 different appropriations. I want one fucking thing.
I always will. But if 2 is more certain, it does go a little bit quicker because you can do the immigration stuff early. Now, you have to understand, for immigration and for the wall, we won the case on the wall. They tried to sell the wall for 5 cents on the dollar, by the way. And we had, fortunately, a judge that stopped that. But they were already discarding the wall. And 5 cents on the dollar. And you know what they were doing? They were calling us up and saying, we'll sell it back to you at 200 cents. In other words, double.
200 cents? Wow. What's that in 2025 cents?
What we paid for it.
200 cents. They're making 195 cents on that deal. How much is that in dollars? God, that's like enough money to fill the ocean.
So they were going to buy it from this guy for 5 cents.
This fucking guy.
To the dollar. They were making deals.
Yeah, these deals with these guys and these fucking guys.
Unfortunately, we had a very smart judge that stopped it cold. I think he called for an investigation, too, and he should. But
if he didn't, which he probably did, but I don't know if he did, but he might have.
But think of it. They were selling the wall that was exactly the wall that the Border Patrol wanted. That was
yeah, not the cool wall I wanted. This shitty thing they keep telling me.
Designed by them.
The slats and the fucking anti-climb thing and story.
Steel, concrete, rebar.
Concrete.
Exactly as it was.
Exactly.
Very, very heavy steel.
I got him this speech. I'm starting to get Carol Channing mouth.
Very powerful steel, hard to cut. Very, very heavy 7,000-pound concrete, which is a...
Most steel is hard to cut, I will say. I mean, if your scale is pi to steel, on that scale, it's harder to cut. Just saying.
Very strong concrete.
It's very strong concrete.
Everything was top of the line. Very expensive. Would be double what we paid for it then. 5
cents on the dollar. 195. It's higher. That's more than double. It is more than double.
Years ago. But let me just tell you, they were selling it for 5 cents on the dollar to people.
Which dollar? Was there a dollar under every 5 cents? So it was $1.05? They were getting $1.05 for every dollar's worth of... That seems better.
And those people were calling us, asking us to pay them 200 cents because it's a good deal.
I got to say, I love 200 cents. I love that he's saying he can't say $2. Because $2 on the dollar sounds dumb. They want $2 on the dollar. So he's saying 200 cents for every 5 cents. And to him, 200 is so much higher than 5. So he's got to say it like that, but he's now backed himself into a corner where he has to keep saying 200 cents.
Because we can have it immediately.
We can have it for 200 cents at a time. And that's no sense. We're the common sense people, and they're the 200 cents people.
And you know what immediately is? Just leave it in place.
What is immediate? Immediately would be now?
No.
No.
The papers haven't written that, though.
No, the papers have not.
You know, that deal is like all the other things that these people do. These people either hate our country or they're very stupid. And I don't believe they're stupid because nobody can cheat on elections like they cheat and be stupid.
Well, they would have won then if they were cheating.
They either hate our country or they're stupid. So remember what I said.
Or they hate the idea of the wall and they know it won't work and you have to create an access road to build the wall itself and it actually makes it easier for people to cross the border.
Because nobody wants to report it. They were
all right, at some point, kids, I got to go to Texas and walk along the border to the edge of it. I got to find like one of these places where it stops and show you what the fuck I'm talking about and do a live report from there. It's the only way I can do it. I'm going to have to do that soon. It's time for me to start this year, especially. I got to do some special report. I got to do a live stream. Yeah, road trip, fucking A. I need to find we'll have like little fan get-togethers for the people in Texas or Arizona or something like that. There might even be a place in California. Fuck yeah, there might be an end of the wall in California. Although I think that again, natural barriers being what they are. Yeah, I'd also like to get press credentials at the White House at some point. I don't know how. I mean, I think he and his people are giant pussies and wouldn't let me. I'm just saying it right now. They're weak and pusillanimous and pathetic and would be afraid of somebody like me asking questions. So I don't see it happening, but not because I don't deserve it or something like that, or I'm not part of the legacy media. And, as independent media, I think they've said that that's the most valuable part of it. Of our media right now is independent media, but I don't think they let me in because I think they're weak and thin-skinned and stupid and incapable of answering a second question on any topic. So here's the key. By the way, reporters, if I may. Oh, yes, I will ask Brian Karam about this. I'm buttering him up. Yes, I'm trying to get in early there. So here's what I think, press people, what you should do is, there are some obvious questions people are going to ask about all of these topics. And eventually somebody's going to get it in there. Either they get it as their first question or their second question. When you get to when somebody asks the surface question about the wall or whatever it is, don't re-ask the question when it's your turn. Just say, following on what was said about what you said about the wall, this. Right? Are you concerned that the wall, unlike a natural barrier or a fencing, you have to create a flat piece of road for the structure that allows people to walk to the end of it when it reaches private land or Indian land, and they just seem to walk right around it because that's just the limitations of it. And if you'd have just left it as a natural barrier, they wouldn't be able to go around it. But since you insist on a wall being the entirety of the structure, you actually make it easier for them to get around the wall. Why is that a good thing? Why is creating an access road on the Mexico side of the border wall, that makes it easier for migrants to go around the barrier better than just leaving natural barriers that people couldn't cross previous? Because obviously numbers are up after the wall was built. The crossing numbers were lower before the wall was built, and this is partly why. See what I mean?
Selling the wall for 5
cents on the 200 cents.
Cents on the dollar, and trying to resell it back to us for 200 cents or less.
189 cents, 192 cents, 137 cents, $1.50, $1.25. I got 2 bits.
But for 200 cents on the dollar, that's a...
See, he didn't want to say $2 on the dollar, so he had to say 200 cents on the dollar.
That's a nice return.
That's a nice return, 200 cents on the dollar.
Meta today announced that it will stop putting fact checks on posts on its website. And
Say it.
Meta said today it will stop putting fact checks on its website and still allow community.
Well, I watched their news conference, and I thought it was a very good news conference. I think they've come a long way. Meta, Facebook, I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very...
Oh, this is the thing is Zuckerberg says he's going to stop fact-checking on Facebook. Because he looked at the business model on X, and it was going so well, he's like, hey, what if I turn Facebook into that? I mean, it's not like they can fucking leave.
Very impressive. I watched it. Actually, I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that.
Why are you not allowed to say that?
Say it?
Do you think he's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
The last time you were here, you were asked a question about the U.S.
So, sorry, the head of the federal government threatens a private business owner, and the private business owner acquiesces to the threats coming from the federal government, and that's a good thing. Okay.
Possibly launching
Sounds like freedom to me.
a preemptive strike on Iran. You said you wouldn't answer that question.
On who?
Obviously, on Iran. The U.S. launching a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facilities.
And I said, I don't talk about it.
Right, and that's understandable, but it is a legitimate question.
Well, it's not really, because only a stupid person would answer it. Look, it's a military strategy, and I'm not answering your questions on military strategy. All right, one more. Brian, go ahead. Brian.
Could you give us a preview of what you might be talking to?
He goes back to fucking MTG's side piece.
Leaders of Congress who are expected to come here in the next couple of days, and you've got a very supportive Congress behind you.
They are. They're great. So we have a wonderful Republican Congress. We have
Yeah, you got a 2-vote margin.
a leader that I have a lot of confidence in. I think he's going to be, hopefully, a great leader.
Hopefully. Yeah, yeah. You have a lot of confidence. That's why you use the word hopefully. Nothing shows confidence like going, hopefully. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, no. I have total faith in that guy. I think he might, actually pull it off.
A great speaker. And we have a leader, by the way, in the Senate, I think has been great. John Thune has been doing a fantastic job.
Fantastic job.
But it goes through the House first. And the question is whether or
Right, but it's got to pass the Senate, so it's got to do both.
not we do the two bills or one bill. And, you know, look, I can live either way. I like the idea of the one big bill, but I can live either way. But they'll.
What if Chip Roy wants it broken up into 12?
Be coming down. The senators also will be coming down, and then ultimately we'll be meeting in the White House in a few weeks. But right now, this is the winter season. You know, they sort of call this the winter White House. It was built, I don't know if you know this, Marjorie Meriwether Post and E.F. Hutton built this. It was the greatest of all the estates in our country.
Oh, yeah, it was the greatest. It sounds very elite to me, I got to say. E.F. Hutton and Marjorie Post.
And I saved it, and I got a lot of credit for saving it. Most of these big, great houses have been knocked down in Palm Beach.
Right, that's how you make the big money. But if you don't knock them down, you can't make the big money. So it's really only worth $18 million. See how that works, fuckhead?
Just about all of them, actually, and they, you know.
Yeah, that's because that's where the money is, and knocking them down. Right, you want it to be a landmark. Eventually, it will be. By the way, I'm just letting you know. It's going to get bulldozed.
Or you'd build 10 mansions on one site, but.
Right, that's how. Again, that's why that space would be worth $1.5 billion. That's what happened to the other houses along the coast that were nearby on pieces of property that were close.
We saved it, but this was built as the Southern White House, and she.
No, it wasn't. She called it that. She wanted it to be that. Doesn't mean it was.
Gave it to the government, and.
This isn't fucking Nanjing, asshole.
By the way, Jimmy Carter gave it back. He said it's too expensive for the United States. So I didn't realize that.
Real quick, I was just told.
Actually, Jimmy Carter, Nixon was through Watergate. He came down. Nixon came here once, and he thought it was incredible. But he had a thing called Watergate, if anybody remembers that. And so he had other things on his mind, to put it mildly. And
yeah, Jews mostly, it seems, if you listen to the recordings.
Jimmy Carter felt that it was too extravagant for the country. So fortunately for me, he gave it back to the foundation, and I bought it from the foundation.
Right, and you can't sell it without it costing you a bunch of back taxes and that kind of stuff. So it'd be more, you'd lose more than you'd gain, and they'd still have to okay the sale. So therefore, it's only worth $18 million.
Reconciliation.
Because that's the most you can make out of it every year, any given year.
Some Republicans saying in trade for a massive bill that you and they share the interest in, they want to see big spending cuts. Do you agree with that? And what would
I'm okay with spending. I like spending cuts. I'm on the record for spending cuts. And the debt ceiling was given to us. It shouldn't have been, but it was put in our lap. And what I want in terms of debt ceiling isn't the ceiling. I just don't want to see a default. That's all I want. I never.
Yeah, well then just then fucking tell people you got to tighten your belt, America. We're gonna cut the fuck out of this thing. We're not gonna hit the debt ceiling anymore. Fuck that. We're not gonna default at all. Shit, we're just gonna basically run on fumes for the first 4 years. Federal government won't have any funds whatsoever. If states want the FBI to help them track a serial killer or a big white-collar crime thing or whatever, they're going to have to pay a fee.
We talked about spending more money necessarily than all I want to see is no default, because nobody knows what would happen if there was a default.
Yeah, everybody knows what would happen if there was a default, shithead. It's happened before.
It could be 1929 and it could be nothing.
I'm leaning more towards the 1929 part.
But that was put into our lap.
Into your lap?
And it shouldn't have been, but it was.
What? Every president has to deal with it, stupid.
And so we'll handle it.
And a lot of it has to do with your spending. Spending okayed by you. Biden brought the deficit down.
But debt ceiling is not about raising a lot of money. It's really just about extending it. I just want to see an
Yeah, that's all it is. It's not about raising money. It's about extending the money. You know, it works. Look, that's what we're doing. Get rid of the debt ceiling. We're extending money. Who doesn't like that?
Extension.
What the does hey, maggots, anybody know what the shit?
Mr. President,
what does that mean? What does extending money mean? We're just extending money. What does that mean? There's got to be a maggot in here somewhere. What does he mean? Please explain I don't even need the math. I just need the fucking grammar. The order of the words and their syntax and meaning.
Sir, on immigration, how much can you do by executive order are you planning to do on executive order when it comes to immigration? And how much do you want Congress to tackle this issue? And also on day one,
Well, I have the safest border in the history of our country by far. You remember the famous chart that I brought down? I love that chart very much for a lot of reasons.
Mainly because the drop was right at the beginning of COVID shutdown, and you were president through the rest of it, and it went up precipitously after that point. Unless you're saying you stopped being president in April of 2020.
But I have the safest border by far.
COVID.
In the history of our country. And
COVID, right at COVID, literally the lockdown, right at the lockdown.
when I took it over, it was a mess. Nothing like it is.
No, it wasn't.
Now.
Well, yeah, it's the wall, obviously. When you took it over, there was no wall. Now there's a wall.
This is...
And the wall fucked up everything.
10 times worse. I got elected because of the border the first time, and I think I got elected largely because of the border the third time. And the second time I did equally well. Well, not as well as the last time, but I did very well.
Actually, you did better in votes. You got fewer votes this time.
And I will say, this was too big to rig. You know the expression? Too big to rig. They couldn't do it. They tried, but they couldn't do it.
They didn't try. They didn't do it. They didn't do it the time before, and they didn't do it now.
I didn't get very much from Congress at all. I just said that we're being invaded, and I took the money out of the military.
That's for the building of the wall. That's different from policing the streets, going door to door, rounding people up. That's what they're talking about. We're not talking about building a fucking barrier by pilfering other shit when you said Mexico was going to fucking pay for it.
Much of the wall, I built over 500 miles of wall.
Yeah, 40 miles past the barrier that already existed. The difference was you turned a bunch of fencing into wall, and therefore you created an access road on the other side of it, which made it easier to traverse again.
Much of that wall was built through money that I put into the military.
Yeah, money that was supposed to go to military personnel and national security and the like, sure.
We took it out because we couldn't get things from Congress in those days, and we took it out. And that wall was built largely with money coming from the military. So
the military of Mexico, obviously. He means because Mexico was going to pay for it 100%. I remember the phrase being 100%.
Very simple. I went to the military. I said, our country is...
I went to the the military and I said, I don't speak Spanish. Can someone interpret what I'm about to say to these folks? And they're like, we're the American military. He's like, no, for purposes of this exercise, you're Mexico. We are? Yeah, just work with me.
Being invaded by very similar, nothing like what's invading our country now. They weren't releasing prisons into our country, and they weren't releasing
whole prisons.
Releasing mental institutions in, but
the whole institute, the building. All right, well, maybe we can turn the building, convert it into apartments or something. That'd be good. I've always felt like a prison, if you did some sort of modern upkeep, you could do kind of like, knock down walls and have like 3 cells could be one small apartment. You know what I mean? You could do this kind of like cohabitating living thing. And I don't know, it's a thought. I've been working on it for a while.
Some bad dudes were coming in, right?
Bad dudes. Hombres, I think you called them.
And I said, our country is being invaded. And
by hombres,
took that money largely from the military. I was sued 9 times by the Democrats in Congress, and I won all those suits. And we ended up building 571 miles of wall. Once that wall was built, they start going around it. So we're going to...
Right, that would be the access road that you created by turning fencing into a giant structure, which requires digging down into the earth and creating a concrete structure that you can't dig below, because if you don't go deep enough and they do dig below it, the whole thing could collapse, which it did in a couple of places, so they had to redo it. So there's a giant flat road on either side of it. Dum-dum.
Add another 200. That would have been up in 3.
Yeah, so they can just walk to another part of Mexico and come around that way. So instead of going to like Juarez or wherever it is on the other side of the El Paso, they'll just they'll end up walking through in fucking Arizona.
3 weeks, and then we had a very unfortunate election result, and they said, we don't want to put it up, we'll sell it. And they started selling it for 5 cents on the dollar. What a second.
Yeah, we heard that story before. It's still bullshit, but you covered that part. So why would... My question is, how would crossing actually get worse with the wall? I mean, that's the thing. Why would, after the wall, the numbers go up? People thinking they can cross, thinking they can make it through, trying to make the cross. and at the places where there was wall, like all the places we saw, like the big gatherings where they were sneaking around, they were going around the edges of the wall. There was plenty of wall. We didn't see them near the sort of chain link fence areas.
We'll do this again. I just want to thank everybody very much. I'm just telling you, this will be the golden age of America. This is the
the golden age of America was the Industrial Revolution. I don't want to go back to fucking kids working in factories and tuberculosis.
Golden age of America. We're going to have a great country again.
Why gold also? The fool's golden age? The gilded age? Right, yeah.
We're a country right now under siege. We have so many different problems, and nobody respects us overseas, but now they do. The Italian Prime Minister, as you know, came here the other night, just flew in and flew out. She wanted to
try the chocolate cake.
She wanted to see me. And great respect is being shown when I went to the cathedral in France. Great respect was...
Yeah, the cathedral. You remember the cathedral in France. It's in France. I forget the name of it, but it's a cathedral of some sort. Nope. Damn. Nope. Damn, what's the name? Is it, no. Try again. Damn. Nope. Damn. I'll think of it later.
Shown by the Prime Minister, the President, by everybody. France was, and by the way, I have to say they did a great job in the cathedral. But
the cathedral? Which one? Which cathedral are you talking about?
Great respect is being shown to our country again.
Yeah, because you're a lunatic. People think they have to kiss your ass, and they also know you're easily pliable, so that you think it's respect, and it's really just fear and manipulation. Some people just want to leverage your stupid, weak ego, and other people are afraid you're a nutcase.
And we have a great country, but we have to...
I agree.
...run it properly. It's going to be run properly.
Yeah, the trains will run on time. Is that that's your argument?
We want to get back those hostages for Israel and for us. You know, we do have people that are hostages being held. And I'll just say it again. If this deal's not done with the people representing our nation, by the time I get to office, all hell is going to break out. Thank you very much.
All hell's going to break out. Have you seen Gaza? You think hell? What the fuck do you think's happening? What, you going to do something worse than what Israel managed to do with the fucking beepers?
Thank you.
I'm going to wander away. Off I go. Thanks, Hussein, for standing there the whole fucking time. That poor guy, he should have at least been able to take a seat. Jesus. Well, we got through it, kids. Congratulations. Success. Again, gibberish, and I would remind you that all those things you see where people tell you don't obey in advance, don't comply in advance, fear and you know, anxiety are a way of complying in advance. Do not allow this asshole to weaponize your empathy and your fear, to weaponize your imagination and turn it into worry, which is exactly what worry is. It's weaponized imagination. Remember that. Don't let it happen. Do not. Take it back. Have all your faculties. Know that life will go on. People weaker than you have been through worse times with fewer resources and fewer options. And we too, you know, this too shall pass, and we will get through it. And we will have work to do taking care of people who are really on the receiving end of this shit. And it requires those of us that can stand to make sure that we don't get wobble-kneed, you know, when other people need help. I hope that came across well and not too judgmental. I mean, a little judgmental is okay. A little. Right? So, that said, see you tomorrow. You guys are so lovely. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the morning for the morning show. I think we have both our guests tomorrow. Yes? 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 Tomorrow? Major in the morning and Phil, excellent. So Major Ojeda is going to be with us, and Philip Ittner from Ukraine. It's going to be fantastic. Join me tomorrow, everybody. Oh, and I got to make my credits roll because you guys were lovely and generous, and thank you so much, Triva, for the memberships. And oh my God, Peter, gifting the memberships. Good Lord, man. Thank you. Robin as well, and Joe. All all of our Twitch subscribers. Look at you guys. Come on now. Carrying the heavy weight for the people who just hang out on Twitch. Bunch of people re-upping. Thanks, Al. Was with you, Jan 6U. Dark Nook Monster Shop. They sent you a video on Blue Sky. They walked him out. Oh yes, I think you're talking about the. That was yesterday. Sorry, I scrolled back too far. That was about Jacob Chansley. Yeah, they were bugging him the fuck out. Look at that, the followers and the subscriptions. Thanks for subscribing, everybody. Share the show, share the clips, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, this is too big to, I mean, we'll cut little chunks out of it, I think. We get little moments from it. But overall, I think I handled it quite well.